across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Good morning. Happy Saturday to you. Wonderful and privileged to have your company today. It is hot, hot, hot outside, and it's hot, hot, hot in politics. Certainly hot under the collar for Sir Keir Starmer. Tension is mounting. I think the current count is 100 MPs calling for him to resign. Is this going to be like that time when people started standing down when the herd moved and Boris Johnson eventually saw the light and said, well, there's no point trying to push water up a mountain. I'll go. He did say hasta la vista, but that hasn't really been fulfilled. But you never know. In UK politics, stranger things have happened. But is Starmer going to come back on Monday and lay out a timetable for his departure? An automatic anointment of the King of the North? I hate that. He's not the king of anywhere. Is that going to happen? Could we see Andy Burnham in position before summer recess? If so, what's Burnhamism? What does that look like? I mean, come on. This is going to be our 7th Prime Minister in 10 years. Larry the cat's sitting there going like, oh my God, not another one. It is ridiculous. It's a bit like the Tinder of politics, isn't it? Swipe left, swipe right. Who do you want? Although we don't, the ever-diminishing dating pool when it comes to politicians and potential prime ministers. It's rather unedifying in the United Kingdom. Anyway, we will keep you updated on all of that. And of course, there was a very alarming and tragic train crash in Bedfordshire yesterday. We're still waiting on details. My understanding is 89 people have been injured. The driver tragically passed away, lost his life in that accident. We don't know what caused it. The United Kingdom, actually one of the safest countries in the world for railways. Did you know? So very unlikely that events like these happen, so investigations are ongoing to find out what was the cause of yesterday's dreadful accident. It was all hands on deck in the emergency room. My understanding is some people have sustained serious injuries, but there has been one fatality thus far. Let's hope in many respects it stays that way. OK, if you want to call in and talk about whatever we're talking about, or, I don't know, try and chuck in a new conversation and see if it sticks, we'll be the judges of that. We control whether the phone stays connected or not. No, don't worry. Everyone is welcome. The number is 03444991000 and it is your normal network rate. So what are you waiting for? This is the best conversation you're going to have all week. You can also use that number to send me a WhatsApp message or leave me a voice note on WhatsApp. 87222 is the number. If you'd rather send a text, if you're going to do that, write the word talk before you write the body of your message. We are on the socials at talkTV, and as per usual, here he is, dressed up like a true northerner, the official Andy Burnham T-shirt and jacket combo with a little thing in your
pocket square.
A pocket square.
There you go.
That's sort of elevated Burnham.
Yes, yeah. I'm the king of the north.
He hasn't gone around to pocket squares yet.
I'm as close as the king of the north as you're going to get.
Yeah, you're my king of the north. You're my,
all right, calm down.
Genuine Wiganite.
Yes.
Genuine
that's
Wiggy.
true, actually, yeah. I always find it funny that Greater Manchester elected a Scouser to be the mayor.
Is that sort of in sort of northern terms? Is that a bit like a Bath rugby player going to play for Gloucester?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like Benedict Arnold kind of, what are you doing? This is just not what you do kind of situation. But yeah, the Thursday was fascinating. And the upcoming next week is going to be even more fascinating. I mean, is he really going to go? I mean, we've been sat here for like 2 years saying it's the end of Starmer. This is the week he's going to go. This is the crisis that's going to befall him. And he's somehow still there. I mean, this guy is harder to get rid of than black mould.
But do you know what is really funny? The times I actually like Starmer the most is when he does this.
Yes.
Because, you know, I must admit, I cannot stand the man.
Yes, yeah.
I do not care for him. I do not care for his politics. But I don't think there's anybody who could lead that Labour Party who, even if I liked them more than Starmer, I'd like them more because they'd want to do right-wing things.
Yeah.
And the party aren't going to let them.
No.
So there's no point. There's no point hating, you know, don't hate the player, hate the game, or whatever it is.
Yeah, no, that's right. I think that's absolutely spot on because, you know, I always joke around that, you know, Lord Alley gave him £16,000 worth of the glasses and he can't read the writing on the wall. I mean, you know, at some point he has to realise this can't go on, but you know, it does all change now because Andy Burnham is a viable alternative. So for a long time, there was no candidate.
There was no, like, Rayner, nah.
No, we're streeting. He's running around saying he's got 80 MPs. He can't count to 80, let alone have 80 MPs in his back pocket. It's ridiculous.
I think isn't he now doing that thing where he's shuffling in behind Burnham? He's I want to get a pick from here.
Yeah, because, and then my favourite was the other day, somebody said that, sources are saying Yvette Cooper may run. No, Yvette Cooper is telling people that she might run because she wants to be, you know, relevant again because everyone forgot we have a foreign secretary that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
See that? Oh yeah. Do you remember Yvette Cooper?
Yeah,
do you remember?
Yeah. She is. Oh,
yeah.
right.
Yeah. Do you know this time of massive international affairs happening? And
you know
we
what's
don't seem to be present?
interesting? So basically, I think that even if you've got a crap prime minister.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to say that?
I think so. Yeah,
I think so. I sort of paused.
I know. I watched that because I was like, "Where's this going?"
I was doing like an internalised Ofcom audit. I was like,
yeah, clearing your head.
yeah, I'm going to go with it.
Yeah.
You know, you can have a crap prime minister, a crap government, but everything's made even more crap if you keep changing it every 5 seconds.
Yes.
And it's funny, like, we've not really had this in UK politics, this defiance, this let's keep changing leader, let's sort of Tinderise.
Yes.
Politics until Brexit. And I remember saying, because you know me, I'm a harbinger of doom.
Yes.
I remember saying during Brexit, I said, this is going to now introduce a whole new level of ill discipline and defiance in politics. When they all started running around like banshees, no longer following party lines, saying what they like, queuing up at radio stations to get their mugs on the airwaves, to be sort of, you know, slagging off this person, doing that, running off to Europe to conspire with Michel Barnier. You know, sort of taking things to lawyers, all of that, the jamboree of utter disrespect, anti-democratic defiance that came out of the Remain side changed politics forever. It suddenly meant that, so the public have decided something, who cares?
Yes, yeah.
We can
100%.
do what we like.
Yeah.
The playing politics became more important than actually delivering in politics.
Yeah. When they started using laws from 1608 in the House of Commons to start to delay things and started bringing back all these old traditions and that, you know, they are able to use, but you don't use them because it's over 400 years old. Once you started doing things like that, politics fundamentally changed. But I also think this is what happens when you collapse the two parties. This is five-party politics era.
Yeah.
Everybody ran around wanting the end of the two-party system and not realising the consequence of it is you all have to learn to get along with each other.
But the collapse, arguably, the collapse of the sort of binary choice was because of the faction fighting.
Yes.
They were no longer because of the ill discipline. Brexit was
kind
a
of
wrecking ball that just went smashed all the sort of legacy parties into bits of different sort of interests, persuasions, ideologies, the radical elements, the traditional elements. But also, do you think it's getting philosophical here?
Yes, I always say that the two parties, by the end of it, were more of a wrapper than a party.
Yeah.
They were a way of holding everybody together under one brand.
Right.
And I think once you kind of tear the branding a little bit, that is when everything spilled everywhere. And I think that's the best. That's why I always say the two systems didn't collapse. It fractured.
But it's sort
went
of
everywhere.
become this way increasingly through social media and identity politics.
Yes,
if it wasn't for that, I'm this particular tribe.
Yes.
Because once upon a time, when you look especially at... OK, so... Blenheim Restore.
There we go.
I can't bother talking about them anymore. Just such a stupid online thing. But anyway, let's go there. Well, what is so mental is, you know, back in the day when I was engaged in politics properly and I was in sort of head of media for UKIP, Nigel's right-hand woman back then, that was 2013, so 13 years ago.
Yeah.
Woo! There was a big difference between Nigel Farage leading UKIP and David Cameron leading the Conservatives. I mean, a big difference.
Yes. Yeah.
And Nigel Farage always used to say you couldn't put a fag paper between the Conservatives and the Labour Party. There was this bulk of centrism. And, you know, David Cameron was hugging hoodies and signing the Lisbon Treaty.
Oh,
And,
by the way, do you know who wrote the Hug the Hoodie speech?
Who?
Danny Kruger.
Did he?
He did, yeah. Yeah, that's always, I found that out the other day, actually.
Ah, that's I like that.
Yeah.
Good fact.
Yeah, there you go.
But during that time, there was a very distinct politics on offer. Farageism
Yes, there was.
very different to the Conservative Party. And there are a few people on the back bench of the Conservative Party who you're like, well, you should probably be over there because you're sort of Farageist. But everyone else was sort of, you know, that's back in the day, you had Dominic Grieve, Anna Soubry, you know, all those.
All that lot.
And the men who look a lot like lesbians, which seem to sort of run politics in the noughties.
Yeah,
anyway,
they did, didn't they? Yeah,
I
with a chin beard.
Yeah, just sort of like, you know, very low testosterone men.
Yeah.
Anyway, So there is a real big distinction. What's happened now is, you know, Farageism's become the main sort of ideology of the hour, because it's always been about closed borders, not completely closed, but very controlled immigration, about sovereignty, getting out of things like the ECHR. I've been banging on about that for ages. The sort of stuff now that when you look at Kemi Badenoch, Rupert Lowe, Nigel Farage, that is the shared ideology. It's just a sort of stupid competition to say, oh, I'm going to deport 10,000 people more. Well, we're not going to leave the ECHR until we've done a full consultation. Or it's the same blimmin' manifesto across all three. That once upon a time you had the sort of outsider, Nigel Farage, and now you've got the sort of inside, everyone trying to be more Nigel Farage than Nigel Farage. And that's what is so frustrating about this ridiculous split on the right now. It isn't even an ideological split.
No, it's
and people online, people in Restore seem to think it is.
I don't think it's an ideological split. I think the big thing now is a credibility split. I think it's who do you believe is going to be able to deliver it? Because unfortunately, the right has indulged in what I call litmus test politics. It's are you pure enough to do it?
I know.
That. It is, are you? Too often, the right has taught people that you have to be the right level of pH, and if you're not, then you're somehow out. We've made it too kind of black and white, too dichotomy.
This is what social media has done. It's sort of emotion-driven algorithms. When you're in a political party or support a political party, you have to be able to criticise it. You have to be able to say, you know, I vote for the Tories, but I'm not particularly a big fan of the Home Secretary. I didn't like the policy on this, but broadly speaking, I do. Not particularly fond of the current leader, but I vote Tory because ideologically that's my home. But the problem that we have with this online phenomenon, with one party in particular, which is, I feel very cultish. You cannot.
I say the same thing about reform. If I'm being brutally honest, I
don't know. I feel like a lot of reformers can criticise reform. It doesn't feel.
Reformers can criticise reform. If you're not in reform and you criticise reform, I've been called a plant that many times. I'm basically the Chelsea Flower Show at this point. I mean, I always say that the outside, they see the outside as an attack. It's interesting you bring this up because the British Social Attitudes Survey that was out just the other week has shown that Restore and Reform and the Green Party have their followers have such a kind of emotional connection to the party that the two big parties have not had since the 1940s and 50s.
And this is so dangerous.
It's so dangerous,
When you have an emotional connection to your political party, a tribal emotional connection, if your team wins, fine, but they're never going to satisfy you. They're never going to go far or fast enough. You're never going to be satiated. But the bigger risk is having this hugely tribal, emotional, almost desperate clinging to the concept. Deification. And then that person not actually getting elected or being able to deliver democratically. Because what then happens is supporters go, the system. And then they suddenly go, it's all a conspiracy. The system's failed. This is what we should have. You know, a lot of the people online screaming, you know, having all these memes of, you know, Rupert Lowe in some sort of breastplate holding a sword, going, millions will go. That isn't politics. That's a meme.
I mean, like, literally, the moment the results came in on Thursday, I was on with something, and then I was looking at the comments come through. Fix, stolen, this. I mean, they literally, the woman had just finished their sentence, and it was already out there that it was a fix because their side hadn't won or hadn't done as well. So therefore, the automatic thing is, you know, it's an entire fix. Everything is working against because the fragility of the right is astronomical.
I know, it's gone mad.
Astronomical.
I thought we used to be sensible. But no, basically, what you then have is when there can't be a democratic solution, because let's be realistic, I would be. I'd be more than a little surprised. I'm prepared to, like, put everything I own on a bet that Rupert Lowe is not going to ever become Prime Minister.
I don't see him as... No, not at all. No.
Ever.
No.
And so the problem we now have is all these especially angry young men, because it's a very male-driven movement, are going to be deeply angry. Their emotions and passions are turned up to DEFCON 5 because they're being told that it's cataclysmic out there, that, you know, I kind of see where they're coming from.
Apocalyptic politics is not good for everyone.
It is, you know, but the emotions on this are being turned up to boiling point. And when there cannot be a democratic outcome, because this is the thing. They've been so poisoned against the concept of reform and Nigel Farage, even though ideologically it's basically the same offer.
Yeah.
They've been so poisoned against that when Rupert Lowe can't stand candidates, everyone doesn't stand a cat in hell's chance or just splits the vote, whatever, you know, manifestation of the presence of Restore may or may not be, it's not going to be winning a general election. Of that I'm certain.
No,
and I
but
just
it
say
could cost
that out of
reform
political
one.
pragmatism.
And
exactly.
it will. And I think if the polling results are like national-wise, 78 to 79 seats.
But the damage is already done, because even if Rupert Lowe were to disband Restore tomorrow, how many of those people would go to Reform?
Yes, and
because
this is why
so poisoned against Reform.
100%.
So it's basically like someone's just taken a massive bazooka and shot through the sort of populist right.
Yes.
And when those things happen, as somebody who's just been in politics a long time here, abroad, isn't it convenient? These things don't happen by accident alone.
I don't know. I think a lot of this is actually Reform's fault, if I'm being brutally honest.
I know you do.
I do, because you can't... Because, again, I look at the way... Why does Reform exist? It is the hypocrisy of the Conservatives that bore Reform. The Conservatives failed. Reform went around saying, we're the real Conservatives. Reform then welcomed in the Tories, so therefore they can't be the real Conservatives.
Yeah.
Therefore you get Restore.
Yeah.
When you again, it's this kind of the purity, the purity.
It's mad, isn't it?
It's mad because we don't compromise. Compromise is seen as weakness.
But this is what's mad. During the whole Brexit debacle, at one point, if there'd been a proposition that, you know, the Brexity MPs from the Tory party had gone over to join the Brexit party, people would have thought that was a coup. It was brilliant. That's how things should be. But like you said, it's now become this sort of purity test. And the archaeological offence, which is very social media, it's like, well, do you remember in 2021 when you happened to say this?
Welcome to the woke right. The woke right is worse than the woke left.
It is.
It's absolutely
evil.
astronomical.
Oh my God, I am. Like,
and it's all built on fragility. Because and I say this, the problem of populism, and we've always talked about it, is you've got to give a vision of what you're in favour of, not what you are against.
But
the longer you define yourself as against something, you get to have the purity testing.
But the irrationality, that's where the sort of woke prefix comes from, really, the irrationality, the radicalisation. I'm literally watching people being radicalised in real time. It's quite frightening. But you can't have a debate with them. You can't say a certain thing or suggest something, but they come after you like the devil. And I'm literally now... I just say, here's a little, you know, just a message to anyone out there who goes down the comment sections under my post, just to let you know, OK? Very happy, very mentally secure. Never had an antidepressant or, you know, appointment with a doctor of the noggin ever in my life. I'm not an alcoholic. I like a glass of wine and a gin and tonic, but I drink responsibly. Every now and then I let myself go a little bit, but not before I start tweeting. My love life's great. Thank you very much. I am, you know, very happy and enjoying myself. So thank you for your concerns as well in that department. Oh, and it's nothing illicit. It's not with any party leaders or journalists or anyone else in the public eye. So there you go. I hope that solves that query as well. What else? I'm not on benzos. I'm not a drug addict. What else have they thrown at me lately? I don't know. But basically, it's so Victorian misogyny. You know, the sort of when
it's
you can't
also
agree with a person, and especially a woman, you say, well, she's hysterical, she's histrionic, she's got mental health problems, she's having an affair, etc. No, I've just been in the business for 20 years. I think I know what I'm talking about, and my job is to do this, to sit and talk about it. So if you don't like that, don't watch. Or, you know, or have a reasonable discussion with me, because I'm open to that.
I watched you with Graeme yesterday, actually. I thought that was a very interesting conversation where you were bringing up about the fact that Reform has a bit of a woman problem. I thought that was an interesting conversation where actually it's been a long-term trend actually where the right has just been alienating women again and again and again.
It is like this.
It is the ratcheting up of ridiculous. But it's just crazy, this level of personal vitriol. And because it's built on moral superiority, where everybody thinks they're all better people than each other. Well, doesn't that sound awfully like the Labour Party? We always joke around that the left think their politics make them better people. Have a look in the mirror, half of the people online. It's ridiculous.
But this is the thing. One thing that's really getting on my nerves now is I keep seeing online another woman who's been sort of crucified, ridiculed, you know, trolled by men who then go, but we've got to protect our women and girls.
Yeah.
There's sexism in Islam. We've got to protect our women and girls. And then turn around and start literally saying the most disgusting, despicable things about me, about Isabel Oakeshott, about good old Based and Bougie.
Oh, yeah.
Great girl on X.
Yes, yeah,
about
yeah.
Camilla Tominey's the next one now.
Oh,
They're laying into.
oh my God, the things they say about
They're
that
saying
woman.
awful to that woman. And it's just like, don't you dare wear this mask of there's sexism in Islam, I'm here to protect women and girls, and then start calling any woman who dares have an opinion, you know, every name under the sun, crying out loud.
It's the saviour complex.
Pathetic.
It's the way that the left treat the working class. It's the saviour complex.
It's
as though that they get away with it because they think that their kind of cause is more righteous.
It's the manosphere does politics.
Yeah.
There's something very sad. When you see these young men who have their little YouTube shows and put their videos up and try to be, I'm so intellectual, this is why this happened, and I'm just going to debate everyone with a very long tweet, and you're all going to be put to right because I've got glasses on now and everyone must think I'm so learned. And this is the purest, best form of right wing. Let's all say. To me, these men who live online doing that are not really that different from women who are putting a load of lip filler in and standing on a balcony in Dubai going like that.
Yeah.
It's narcissism.
Yeah. I always say the problem we have is we're in the bubble looking out, they're out the bubble looking in. When you know how the sausage is actually made and you've actually been around the block a little bit,
right,
your attitude on this is very, very different than when you're actually out of it looking in.
Right, and from over 2 decades of working in politics and media, so there you go, around the world.
I actually always say we're the worst people to talk about politics to.
Because we know too much, we get it.
Yeah, also because of that perspective, we just view it in a very different way.
Yeah,
I always
clinical way.
Yeah.
Right, let us take a break.
Oh.
But, of course, we have the quiz, don't we?
Yes, we do. Attention
bed.
Yes, I need a pen.
Oh, I don't have one, darling.
I'll remember my answer.
Just scratch it into your arm.
OK, let's not go that far.
We haven't got that far yet.
No.
OK, what was the turnout in the Makerfield by-election?
Percent or...?
Percent,
oh,
yeah,
okay.
not in the thousands. I want to know the percentage turnout. What percentage of voters who could vote in that by-election did so? The answer is coming up just after this.
Current affairs, international news, letting criminals off while sending... Oi! Oi! You shut up! I'm trying to record something.
Stand by for 3 powerhouse hours of breaking news, challenging views. I don't give a flying damn about international law. I think people will viscerally reject this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Morning, welcome to the best show on radio, Barnsley and Phillips.
That was it's a good.
Oh,
it's
it's a good
warm-up.
short one.
It's a good.
Yeah.
I love our jingle.
Oh, I do. Yeah, apart from there's one that calls me a dork, and I don't like that one.
My favourite one is where you just get the beep.
Beep,
And the,
yeah.
beep is
Huh.
good. I can't wait.
I love that one.
Hopefully we'll get even more.
Yes.
If you want to leave a jingle for our show, then WhatsApp voice message us 03444991000. Come on. Right.
I love how we couldn't decide whether she fell over or it was an 80s.
No, but it's when she sort of came back and did even more, and it became
Yeah.
like just basically it's going to end up as just a jingle of like some beatboxing.
Yes. Sounds like Lara Croft in Tomb Raider.
Really?
Yeah, because the original one, whenever she used to make these noises while she was doing things. Yeah.
I see that 2 minutes a bit too late for me. I remember
Yeah.
Golden Axe.
Oh, I don't know what that is.
Oh, shit. Great.
We keep forgetting the age difference.
Heritage. Oh, yeah, I forgot that despite looking weathered, you're about 12 years old.
Yeah.
Right. Tension bed.
Tension bed.
Tension bed. And what was the turnout in the Makerfield by-election?
58%.
58.
Yeah.
Oh. You tech up.
What is it?
54.8.
Oh, 54.8.
I know. And that 4%, you know, that
Yeah.
if they had turned out to vote,
Well,
it would
apparently,
change everyone.
my parents went to vote at 11 o'clock in the morning, and they said that the queue was very substantial.
Really?
And, yeah. They said that my parents have lived in that area pretty much all their life, and they were saying they've never seen the number of people turn out to vote like that ever. Yeah. And they're also ecstatic that it's all over. Because they said, if one more journalist knocks on my door, I'm not legally responsible for what happens.
That's the thing. Like, there's actually something quite joyful about when you're a journalist and you go to somewhere where something's happened, especially when it's a small town or village, and every pub, every hotel, every cafe, it's just full of the press pack. It's just like, there's a cameraman from Japan over there. What
One
are
of
you
my
doing?
friends is the landlord of our local pub, and he said we've done a roaring trade. They said he's actually done pretty wonders for the area.
Yeah. Did you see, actually, it might be a by-election down my way, so I don't know if there's going to be a by-election, but the MP for Tewkesbury has been lifted.
Oh, I did see that, but I didn't read why.
No, we don't know why.
Do you still not know why?
We know he got arrested on Wednesday night.
Yeah, I did.
And
I saw
the Lib Dems have removed the whip, so I'm like... Because now we've got that one in North East Somerset. He doesn't seem to be going anywhere, despite there being long-term... Was he being charged or... just arrested?
I think he's been arrested. I don't think he's been charged yet.
I don't think he's been charged.
No.
But you've got the one in North East Somerset.
There's one in Surrey?
Suffolk.
Suffolk, that's
There's
the
one in Suffolk, and now you've got one in Tewkesbury, which are all three sort of, you know, lights on the dashboard going, could these emerge into by-elections? And they're all very different, because North East Somerset is Jacob Rees-Mogg's seat. That would be a sort of Tory Lib Dem reform battle.
Oh, that'll be a big battle.
Probably Tory reform battle over in that seat.
I think it probably would be Tory reform in that, actually.
In Tewkesbury's interesting, because that was Tory that switched Lib Dem, so it depends what the guy's been...
Because the Lib Dems have actually their kind of pavement game has been very, very good.
They are good.
I mean, I think they were actually the winners of the local elections because they ingratiated themselves into the local communities up and down the country. They're now no longer such a regional little group anymore.
I basically have to go, in the Cotswolds, I have to go everywhere with sunglasses on because they have their fluorescent signs.
Oh, yes.
Lib Dems winning here.
Yeah.
Well, not in my house, I'll not. Didn't do so well in Makerfield. Didn't even bother in Makerfield.
No,
they just sort of like put a paper candidate on and go like, whatever.
Well, this was a big thing, really, is that the Greens didn't really do very much. Well, they put up that one candidate who didn't realise that if you have more people in the country, you need more houses. She made a right fool of herself on Question Time. And then the Lib Dems didn't really bother, and there's a whole thing about should they back the Labour Party. So the split on the left is just as real. But
the left are very capable of working together and doing plans. That's the difference. That's what we have to understand on the right. And when I say we, I don't mean we, the voters. I mean we, all of these pretenders and their egos, whoever it may be. You know, some might say, well, you know, maybe Reform shouldn't run a candidate in Great Yarmouth because that's, you know, we put...
You can run a candidate, but do non-aggression packs. In other words, you don't have to you don't have to put all your resources into it.
Or in seats where the Tories are sort of basically slogging it out with the Lib Dems, or maybe Reform shouldn't bother.
Yes.
Or, you know, there could be that. Because that's what the left wing are very good at.
Because I always say, you don't have to live in the same house, you just have to live on the same street.
There you go.
And that is the way to think. Be a good neighbour, you don't have to be roommates.
No.
But that's the way to think about it. Yeah. It's the only way I can think that we can actually take down the Labour Party.
Yeah.
Because I tell you now, Andy Burnham ran a phenomenal campaign.
Yeah. not even with a Labour. The word Labour was nowhere near it.
But this is why I think we've got a snap general election coming very, very quickly.
I think so. I think new leader bounce. I agree with
Yes.
you. I said this in the beginning. Under new management,
Yeah.
strike while the iron's hot
Because
before
what
the
has he
dust
not got?
settles.
He's not tarred with Starmer. He
No.
wasn't part of any of this mess.
Because they know if they wait until the end of term, it's going to be much worse than doing it now. It's like taking an early pit stop in Formula One when there's a safety car.
Yeah, I think you'll probably have Greater Manchester Mayor by the end of July, and then maybe general election, maybe New Year, Christmas. I actually think he'll move really quick.
Sooner than that, because
Yeah.
you then have the sort of conferences and start really lining up these campaigns.
It depends
I
how
just
long
think-
Starmer takes to go.
I think if they wait too long,
Yeah.
we're so impatient now. 24-hour news cycle, because there's bound to be a terror attack. There's bound to be a strike. There's bound to,
Yeah.
And it's just people are just going to realise the same old. But I agree. Should we do some messages?
Yes.
We haven't done any
Yeah.
yet. We never work through our list. It's just we have a chat.
Oh, I
don't
know.
we?
I feel so sorry for Faith. She puts this lovely document together,
I know,
and then we
she
get in the
works
room
so
and we
hard.
throw it out the window.
I basically said that to her earlier before we came on air.
Yeah.
We were going through the run order, and I said, Faith, darling, you could just have a line. Peter Barnes and I would just be in that room for 3 hours. Yeah. OK, here we go. Barry in Sunnyside. Where's Sunnyside?
Sunnyside.
Sounds nice. I want to go.
Is it one of these places, and I say this respectfully, they sound nice and then they're not very nice?
You find out it's sort of in, I was going to say
Yeah.
Lancashire.
I know. I love how the north is now free game again.
It's near where, darling? Northamptonshire.
Oh, right. Now you're going to ask where that is, aren't you?
That's what it is. I mean, Northamptonshire's one of those sort of counties.
Yeah.
It's got Silverstone in it.
I think it does, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
that's about all. It's part of the Formula One belt.
Yeah. I always find it funny in school. You never learn where anything is in your own country.
Oh, my God! This is so true.
Yeah.
In geography, you learn how a windmill worked
Yeah.
in 18th century Spain or
Yeah.
something like that. And you're like, but, where's Blackpool? I don't know. Is it in Devon?
To be fair,
Right.
it doesn't help that I don't drive either, and I think that is a big factor.
But Sunnyside, there could be multiple Sunnysides.
Isn't that where, what was it called? The police TV show, The Bill? Or was that
The
Sunny
Bill?
Hill?
That's Sunhill.
That's Sunhill. Oh, there you
Sunhill
go.
Police
There you
Station.
go.
Well done, yeah.
Thank you.
What was the rival police station called in the bill? Because there was Sunhill and then there was another one which had a...
Dark Hole.
Right, come on.
There you
We've
go,
got to get back to
Messages,
it.
yes.
Isn't it remarkable how Restore supporters are trying to rubbish Nigel Farage? I recall very little going the other way. Rupert Lowe is a clever man, good speaker, but only interested in himself, says Barry in Sunnyside. I think it does go both ways.
It definitely goes
Pretty
both
sure it
ways.
goes
It
both
goes
ways.
both ways.
But, I'd like the idea that there's a sort of gentlemanly approach from the other side. I'm not sure it's entirely true. Morning, Alex. If Burnham wants to rescue Labour, he has to U-turn on every policy Starmer and Reeves introduced over the last years. What, like breakfast clubs?
Oh, we can't do that. It's the saviour of
There's
the
breakfast
nation.
clubs, come on.
Yeah. Marcus
then-
Rashford will be furious.
Then and only then will they win back the country, but I'm not holding my breath. One thing that I think Burnham's got that Starmer really doesn't is Burnham is able to stand behind a lectern and talk to the whole country.
that speech
and
he gave
probably-
yesterday.
It was good. It was vibesy.
Yeah.
But it was, I liked it.
Yes. Do you want
I
to
was
know
like, oh.
why? And this is the one thing the right desperately needs to learn to do. Give some hope.
Yeah,
We're really good at
positivity.
pointing
Yeah.
at things and telling everybody it's terrible. We're not very good about
But
talking
also,
about tomorrow.
He doesn't screech. I get the impression if he becomes Prime Minister, when he becomes Prime Minister, when something happens, I think he'll be behind the lectern talking to the nation.
Yes.
Whereas Starmer's instinct is to go behind the nation and tell us all off for being racists.
Yes.
And I think Andy Burnham gets that does not work.
Yeah,
If Starmer had been able to be a human...
It's the, when they call it in America, they call it the president's voice. It's can you speak for the nation in a moment of tragedy and in a moment of success?
Yeah.
And if you can do that, you have a lot more leeway. And that's what you really
Boris
need.
Johnson...
Oh, he was very good at it.
Despite everybody from inside his party trying to execute him, and it was his own party, he was sort of leaking things like, he had a glass of
it was
Prosecco
basically
during
a
COVID.
bucket with a hole in it by the end
If
of
it wasn't for people like, I don't know, the plotters within the Tories, nobody would have known about, the fact that he had a blooming glass of Prosecco during lockdown or whatever. He'd still, and the crazy thing is, he still had the public support.
Oh.
Because even those policies were dreck, they were.
Yeah.
He was a very good communicator, and so much, it's like being the lead singer of the band. You've got the people behind you playing the instruments. You've just got to be able to hold a note.
Yes, this is where I think Nigel has a bit of a problem, is that the rest of the band isn't quite there yet. I think Nigel's a great... I think Nigel will have the Prime Minister's voice, no problem. I think he needs to have the rest of the band up the game a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that's what
I
he
think
needs.
you're right there.
I think, yeah.
It's still, when you think about it, remarkably tiny as a political party.
It really gets me. I feel so sorry for Danny Cruz.
And there's like Islamists,
Yeah, but I don't think they've taken on the new guy from the... Is it from the Adam Smith Institute or the IEA?
Some
yes,
institute.
He's very, very good.
CPS or something.
Yeah, he's
Crown Prosecution.
Centre for Policy Studies.
I don't know. Is it Carl Williams?
Yes, yes.
Or
But he's
is that
very,
the
very
guy
good.
who wrote Addy Addy Armand?
No, it is Carl something. I'm
Carl
pretty
Jenkins
sure.
wrote that. Right, we've got a break.
Yeah, anyway, go.
We're getting out of control here. Limerick.
Tension
bed. It's getting hot.
Oh.
With potential record June highs. Meteorological summer began on the 1st of June. What I want to know is when is or was summer equinox? Don't know what that was. When is or was summer equinox? There you go. Get your pagan calendar out and we'll let you know just after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
In a world where insanity prevails, we bring you Starmerland. Brought to you by Alex Phillips and some bloke called Barnes. Coming to a radio station near you this summer.
Yeah.
Not Starmerland for much longer, is it?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Tension
bed.
All right, it's getting hot with potential record June highs. Meteorological summer starts on the 1st of June. When is equinox?
It's tomorrow.
Yeah, because why do you know that?
Faith gave it away.
Faith, man, you know. You're not supposed to literally walk in from the gallery into the studio and go, oh, equinox starts tomorrow, doesn't it?
Literally.
That ruined the game. It does. Okay,
It was also the way that she went as red as your dress pretty much immediately when she realised.
What time?
Is it?
Not that.
No, I was going to say. There's a giant clock above
What time is it? Oh, yeah.
It's
It's
like one right there.
10:40.
I presume it's
time
like-
is solstice.
Is it midday?
Incorrect.
Oh.
It's 9:24 a.m.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why?
What are you going to do for solstice? I don't
probably-
know, because that's when the sun's at a particular point in the
9:24.
sky when pyramids like send cosmic signals to aliens or something.
I don't know, but I'll probably go and have breakfast because I'm here at 8 o'clock.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Maybe you can go and do some sort of weird solstice-related activities.
Oh, no,
on...
me and my partner, we always go and have, we have a new tradition, we go and have pancakes.
Okay.
Yeah, we do.
Pagan
We
pancakes.
have a Sunday thing.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be here.
Yeah.
I'll be probably...
Probably
in
ranting about the
makeup
store, I
room
imagine.
Probably not. I'm getting a bit annoyed by that story
Yeah.
now. It's just tiring me out.
Tiring, yeah. It's also
It's been
so
all the
hot.
conversation and then, you know, I just get...
This is the one thing I quite like about
through the coals for it.
Now Burnham's here with something else to talk about.
Well, here, let's talk about
Yes.
this, because this is actually a biggie of a story. So, what we're learning is we had the migrant hotels, all got to shut those down. Then we had the migrant military bases.
Oh.
Got to shut those down because apparently keeping 350 randoms in Crowborough is costing taxpayers £160 a night, which is £16 more expensive than the average hotel room. So that's not... But this is where it gets really dark, because I think this is horrific. About 10,000 asylum seekers are about to be moved into houses, flats and bedsits around the country. Beds in properties which are being shared with local authorities for social housing. Now, I'm sorry, but I don't know why we just don't turn these military bases into actual detention centres with chicken wire fences and, you know, not treat people inhumanely necessarily if they're waiting to have their appeals listened to. But, you know, you get some food, you get a bed in a shared room, like the sort of standard of accommodation they get in Belgium or Spain or Greece or somewhere like that.
Any other European nation.
But also make sure that they can't go on and off the site because we don't know who these people are. I find it utterly terrifying that these men, some of them we know are violent, some of them we know have severe PTSD because they've come from war-torn areas, some of them we know are sex pests, wannabe rapists, traffickers, groomers, pretty much the vast majority, if not all of whom, have been in contact with international criminal cartels, terrorist organisations and people traffickers who aren't nice people. None of them really have their documentation, so we don't know who they are. They could be terrorists. Putting them just in the house down your street.
Yes.
What could go wrong?
Well, I've always said that shutting the hotels was actually the terrible idea.
Hotels, in many respects, was the
actually
most
so
secure.
much better. And also, is the knock-on effect of this, because we have a bit of a renters problem at the moment, because a lot of landlords are selling up apartments and flats that they have because of the Renters' Rights Bill, which also means there's a lot of people looking for somewhere to live. So a lot of social housing is going to people that have literally just rocked up 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And the knock-on effect of these kind of policies is the ripple is getting to be a tsunami now.
But also, we've learned, haven't we? There's one particular village in, I want to say, Buckinghamshire. Is it Buckinghamshire? Berkshire. Near Slough. What county is Slough in?
Buckinghamshire.
Buckinghamshire. I was right first time. I knew it was a B.
No, Berkshire.
Right. See?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I thought Berkshire was Reading. That would make sense.
Yeah, Berkshire's Reading.
Yeah.
I think Slough
Somebody
might be
bring us a map.
It's one of the B's.
Yeah, awesome.
There.
Again,
but there was a village near Slough. And, you know, there was sort of a lovely old house that had been restored into multiple apartments, and then they just put a load of these random men in there. And what's the first thing they did? Go down the local primary school to sniff out the kids.
Oh, I remember the story,
You cannot... Look, if you're going to have these people anywhere, put it in a girt, you know, defunct, rubbish-looking travel inn that's, you know, basic accommodation. They're not allowed in and out. They're certainly not allowed, you know, their little delivery bicycles and things like that. Have it properly... They have security guards on the door to stop people like us going in and having to see what's going on.
I find that just...
Don't stop them going out or earning money on the black market. But, you know, at least then put them in an area where they are... They shouldn't be allowed out at all. So wherever they are, it doesn't matter if they're not allowed out in many respects. But, you know, taking these men from the sort of deepest, darkest Sudan and going, like, here you go, leafy English village. Have fun.
I don't understand why we don't just tag everyone. Put them on a tag.
I don't know. Just don't forget the cost of the tag. Don't let them out.
Or just don't let them in.
Yeah.
That might
a lot
be
of
an
these,
idea.
I mean, you know, find a hotel that's got some outdoor area.
Yeah.
You know, so they can go and sit in the garden. And, you know, when they realise... Or I think it should be more basic accommodation. It should be something akin to a refugee camp at best.
I think the damage is already done when you had people doing TikTok videos of, look what you get when you come to Britain. Yeah. I think the moment that happened, what, about 2 years ago, the damage was done.
The houses is what they want. They want to be moved out of hotels into houses. There's one video, I don't know if it was AI, fake or real, but you know, if it was AI or fake, it may as well have been real, where there was an African guy going, I'm going to England, I want my house.
Yes.
I want my house.
Yeah.
How can we monitor people in these houses? They can be cutting up ketamine. They can be, you know, making bomb vests. They can be bringing girls, kidnapping girls and bringing them back late at night.
Yeah.
I mean, all manner of things. You can get... When it's, you know, we are kings of our own homes, you can get away with whatever you want within the four walls of your house. So how are we going to keep eyes on these people?
Well, we're not...
We do anyway.
Yeah. I call them houses of multiple horrors. I think that's what they are. You know, this is just an impending crisis with incident after incident after incident, and we're going to be sat here and we're going to say, we knew this was going to happen, and they went ahead and did it anyway because they won't do what's necessary. You know, and that is, take apart the legal framework, put people on a plane, and out you go. Yeah. And we're now at that point where even if you want to be nice, it's just a ridiculous concept now. What far down the rabbit hole we've gone.
Did you see that there's been a big vote in the European Parliament about completely tearing up the way the EU treats asylum seekers' immigration rules? And it's opened up, and it passed, and it's opened up the avenues for processing centres in third countries.
Oh, yeah.
The Rwanda plan.
Yes, they've been on about this for a while, actually. I remember.
So the EU are going to start doing the Rwanda plan.
Yeah.
And I bet if Burnham had any sense whatsoever, he would sign up to this, do the same things. He loves that EU anyway. Yeah. He'd also say, yes, we go... But then he will sort of make a point that it's nothing like the Rwanda plan because that's awful and it's going to be the same thing. If Burnham has any sense, he will make that his principal ticket item, because if he can then start emptying these hotels, HMOs, and sending people off to some sort of other random country...
The right has a big problem. He gets one plane off the ground. Yeah. He's walking the next generation.
Then there's the snap election.
He's walking.
Rwanda plan comes back, snap election.
One plane is all it takes.
Yeah, you're right.
Because this is the visual image of look what I was able to do.
Yeah.
And it's that one simple act. If you focus just on that, because when Rishi was really pushing the Rwanda plan, I remember I think it was the Austrian Chancellor and the Netherlands Prime Minister all said this is the future of how it's going to be. Rishi Sunak was praised for the Rwanda plan, but it's just our courts thought, oh, no, we can't do that.
Oh, I know. Do you know who we need right now? I wonder if we can get him on for 1 o'clock. Faith, look at me through the window. Oh, God, really? But let's see. We can sort of give Professor Ralph a call, Ralph Schulhammer.
Oh, yes.
He knows things like this.
Yes.
We can, sorry, Faith, this is what happens when I don't, message you in the morning saying, do we have this on the run order?
See this thing called a running order that we had?
Yeah, I'm just like, how about we see if Ralph's around to talk about the EU vote? Anytime.
As over in the pub.
Oh, actually, I'll tell you, Elsie, we got Ben Habib on, don't we?
Ben's
at 11 o'clock. Is it 11? Half 11. OK, there you go. Yeah. Get Ben Habib to research that. He can come and talk about that, because he likes researching things.
Yes, yeah.
It means that I don't have to talk to him about restore and so I can't be bothered anymore. I'm so over that topic. Yeah. OK, let's quickly squeeze in this story before the next break, which is, of course, apparently EastEnders started airing pro-migrant storylines after hiring a writer who campaigns for migration and racial justice. Ade Lamouye, has helped develop storylines for BBC One soap opera since 2022, during which time it has run plots about an autistic Ghanaian who is repeatedly exploited and the racist murder of another African immigrant. I have not seen these episodes of EastEnders. I had no idea we had a sort of a racist murder, because that's happening on the streets of the UK every day.
Yes, I know, yeah. Remember when things were supposed to be entertainment?
But the thing is, if there were racist murders going, if that was a normal sort of scene in a horrible racist country, it would be front page of every headline.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There would be sort of like tributes, there would be a live broadcast church service, there'd be all the commentary would be out, the chatterati, emergency debates in Parliament, you name it. If there was a racist murder, it would go absolutely tonto. And then we keep having it peddled to us that this is just happening all the time. But not.
Well, the thing is, why is everybody so surprised? Because, EastEnders have been doing this kind of stuff for ages, where they've been pushing political agendas. You don't remember they had EU night at the Queen Vic one time.
What?
Yeah.
As if the EastEnders are going to love the EU.
Exactly. Yeah. And then they've always had the stereotypical storylines for like the gay character or the Muslim family or whatever. They've had all these kind of stuff for a long time. And sometimes that is the kind of point of soap operas, is sometimes they use the cliche storylines. But when you are paying somebody who is an actual campaigner to write the story, that is a very different situation. That is pushing an agenda.
That is a psyop.
That is literally, I always use Stonewall as the worst example of this.
God.
The power that organisation had is terrifying.
It is terrifying.
Because the production companies meet with these organisations, so that organisation doesn't brand the show anti-racist or homophobic or whatever.
You've got to have
that kind of
Stonewall
thing.
gold stars.
It was literally do as you're told, or we're going to shut you down. And that's kind of what the BBC are allowed to happen.
Oh, they love it at the Beeb.
Yeah.
Right.
Attention, Ben.
England beat Croatia 4-2 on Wednesday. I want to know, because you're an expert at football.
Yes, I feel this is cruel.
Who scored those goals? All right, there you go. It's just challenging Barnsley. Don't you... Okay.
I don't know.
Just making sure you weren't Googling.
No.
Cheating is bad for the soul.
You think we have souls? I've got two.
OK, we have not got enough time before the advert break to get into that one.
Yeah.
Love you, Barnsley, but no. OK, we're going to give you the answer just after this.
Current affairs, international news, letting criminals off while sending... Oi! Oi! You shut up. I'm trying to record something.
Stand by for 3 powerhouse hours of breaking news, challenging views. I don't give a flying damn about international law. I think people will viscerally reject this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Alex and Ben on Talk from 10.
What, Ben?
Ben?
Maybe just because like the Ben for evening got thrown out.
maybe. Yeah.
Don't know. I mean, you and Ben Habib look very different.
Yes. Very, very different.
I think we can all appreciate that.
Yeah, that one's not really a kind of... Well, you can see it. That's
But
just
you,
now.
you look like you could be called Ben.
I can see that,
You've got
yeah.
Ben
Yeah.
thing about your face.
Yeah.
A Benish kind of...
I can see
Aura.
why people think that, yeah.
But it also rhymed with 10. I mean, if you had
Yeah.
Alex and Peter on air since...
Easter. No. I don't know.
Alex and Peter, watch your ureta.
Oh, no. God.
Well, you know, 3 hours in a studio.
Yeah.
And they're not commodes.
Yes, it's true.
Oh, my God, what do we talk about?
Yeah.
Right.
Tension bed.
Pension bed. England beat Croatia 4-2. Who scored the goals?
I don't know, some overpriced guy. I don't
Can you
know.
name any football?
Harry Kane.
Yes, he scored 2 of the 4.
Okay, that's it.
Any more?
No.
Okay, so
I'm the
it
only
was,
person in the country that didn't watch the game.
Marcus Rashford.
Oh,
you could have
I
named him
didn't know
because
he's
of
still playing.
breakfast.
I did actually name him. I said Marcus Rashford earlier.
So yeah, you could have. Yeah, you
Yeah.
should have guessed him.
Yeah.
And then the other is one I've also heard of was Jude Bellingham. I don't know who he is, but I've heard of him.
No. He sounds like he should be on, I don't know, on the West End.
He does actually.
He does. He has a very
Yeah.
theatrical name.
Good name.
Yeah.
Right. What are we talking about now?
What?
Should we do some
Oh,
messages?
no, yes.
We've only got 5 minutes to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do puberty blockers. Why can we save this one up? We put that into cold storage to do in the next hour. Right, so we'll just do some messages and riff on those. Depressed by the state of the country.
Are we all?
Worried for my disabled daughter, who even with an accountancy degree can't find employment. That's Diane from Oxfordshire. And she says, you know, where the English flag is banned. That's a very interesting thing. I mean, really sorry to hear that, Diane. And so many young people totally unable to find work. And this, I don't think people understand yet that we have a ticking time bomb waiting for us in this. And I'll tell you for why. we have failed to train people in the trades. We have actually sort of demonised the trades as if they're sort of low-grade, low-class. Well, that's what Romanians and Albanians and Poles do. That's not for you. You need to go to university. So now we've got a deficit in people who can actually do practical work. And a lot of these jobs in the white-collar professions, whether it's lawyers, accountants, that is exactly the jobs market that AI is going to hammer. You know, I've got accountancy software and I still need an accountant. But eventually I can see the situation where my accountancy software has calculated my tax and probably automatically sent it away.
Yes,
you know, at this stage, you know, I look at how complex my accountancy software is, that I can do this, do that, generate an invoice, blah, 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 blah. You know, what would be the difference in me? Because it has to link to your bank account now, and then it's going to have to link to blooming digital ID. Let's see if that thing dies a death. Probably not. But, you know, if you just then put in your tax code, what's stopping the computer going when the calculation's now making a payment?
Oh, yeah. So actually, there's two things. First of all, the policy of 50% of the population university educated was the single worst policy of the Blair era, and it has been devastating. Absolutely
interesting. Burnham
devastating.
spoke about that, actually, didn't he?
Because, again, you can see it actually in the Makerfield and in the Northwest in particular, because it's a very... It's former industry area, so you can see the decline where there is no jobs for people who didn't go to university, or you know there was no other alternative. I remember when I was at school, it was you were going to university. There was no option. If you wanted to get a job, you were looked at as though you was something wrong with you, and if you wanted to get a trade skill, that you were looked at, like you rightly say, as something less, as something to look down on. I always think the great giveaway was the lady in the Question Time audience when we were on about the EU, and she said, "Well, who's going to serve in my Pret?" The idea that kind of manual service, that kind of service kind of job. It's not for the Brits. It's not what we do.
We don't talk enough about student debt. I was speaking to my really good friend the other day, who's 10 years younger than me, and he went to do a term or a year at university, decided it wasn't for him, went straight into the working world and earns pretty good money. But he said the compound interest on the student loan is sort of going up by like £6,000 every month. I'm mad. Probably not £6,000 every month. But it's, you know, there are so many people who are now locked in to... I mean, I didn't realise this about the student loan, of compound interest. That's evil.
Oh, yeah.
That's a wickedness.
It's one of the reasons the Chagos deal was so bad, because that interest was compound interest as well. But if you fix student debt, there is a whole bit of the electorate that will actually worship at your feet, because it is debt that is saddling everybody.
Exactly.
And also the fact that nobody really pays it off is also a bit of a problem for the Chancellor of the Exchequer.
I would recommend anybody out there this summer, if you've got kids who've just broken up for summer, they've just done their A-levels, they've got a year, they've got a summer and they don't know what they're going to do, or you know how they're going to spend that time. I would honestly recommend you to say, go work on a building site, go apprentice for a plumber, an electrician, just do that over summer. Even if you're going to university, get those practical skills nailed down, because come if the AI revolution, the only people that are going to be needed are people who do practical things. So get those skills. You'll have an avatar of Alex soon enough. I won't be needed.
To be fair, this was really quickly, on the other end of this, we have a big problem when we'll have a skills gap in terms of people doing white-collar jobs.
Yes.
But we'll end up being another skilled gap.
Oh, we've got to squeeze in our final question. Quick. Burnham looks like a shoo-in to be our next PM. The Northwest's fifth. How many? Name as many of the other four as you can. Oh.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome to the political bash dance with Alex and Barnesy.
I like that one. Ooh. Now I feel like Rod Strictly Come Dancing.
Is Flash Dance the one where she's sort of going mad with like
she sings Fame.
like welding?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of a good look. Welding kit, sexy welding.
Sexy welding.
See, we were talking AI's coming to take your jobs.
I know, yeah, exactly.
So learn how to weld in a sexy manner.
Yeah,
Very
this is what happens. You can do dance theory, but learn a practical skill at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Oh, brilliant.
There you go.
Anyway,
Tension bed.
By the way, we are going to see if Graeme Stringer, who joins us after this, or joins us at any moment, knows the answer to this, because why not drag guests into...
Why not?
The
if I have to be in this horror, so does everybody else.
Also, I garbled the question for the advert break. It didn't even make sense, so I'm going to read it in a more measured way. And maybe even give you some thinking time of 10 seconds. Burnham looks like a shoo-in to be our next Prime Minister. It will be the North West's 5th Prime Minister. Name as many of the other 4 as you can.
I'm struggling with this. I'm not going to lie, because I think the back in the day ones, if I'm honest. We had Lord Liverpool.
Some big names in there.
Is there?
Yeah, I'd say so. Right. Well, let's see if Graeme. I wrote these questions myself, so I've probably got the answer.
Yeah.
I just Wikipedia'd, and I did it on a rush on the tube, so I might actually, just be messing this up in real time. But let's see if Graeme Stringer can name any former Prime Ministers from the North West, because indeed his constituency is from in the North West, in Greater Manchester. Good morning, Graeme. How do you feel about our trivia?
Well, the first name that comes to mind is Harold Wilson.
Oh, he's not on my list, probably. I told you I'd have got this wrong. Yeah. Hold on, Harold Wilson. Let's see, where was Harold Wilson? Because I've done it by from where they're born. So actually this is going to be... Yeah, this could mess it up.
Right, OK. So
Huddersfield, West Riding of Yorkshire. I consider him Eastern.
Yeah, that's the other...
Yeah, but he represented Knowsley, I think.
Yeah. Oh, see, this question's got so many flaws already because I haven't sort of specified the boundaries. I've done it by place
I think there
of
are
birth.
6 Northern Prime Ministers. Or if you want to do it from the North, I think there's 6.
OK.
But don't ask me to name all of them.
If we just go northern, you can throw in Tony Blair as well, can't you? Because he was
Sedgefield.
Was he born bred Durham? I don't know. Anyway, the names I've got from place of birth was Smith Stanley. I don't know who he is, I must admit. Robert Peel, William Gladstone, and David Lloyd George.
Well,
apparently born in Lancashire and the Environs.
Yeah, Gladstone definitely is, because I remember the Gladstone Hall problem at Manchester University, where they wanted to rename it for not realising that Gladstone was a very big anti-slaver. There's a big irony over all of that. Yeah. Isn't
it just with the woke movement? Anyway, there you go. I've probably messed up that question. People will be messaging me, go... So I write these myself. We used to do the Times quiz, and I preferred it that way, when an actual professional quizmaster wrote it. But no, I thought I had to curate my own trivia. Graeme, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Let us talk about Makerfield. A resounding victory for Andy Burnham. Very interesting. He didn't really use any Labour branding. But do you now think there's going to be... I think it's 100 MPs now, isn't it? 100 Labour MPs have said to him, look, mate, Starmer, go. Do you think things are going to move quickly? Because he sort of said, like, no, I'm going to fight this out. Do you think he might change his mind?
I think the Prime Minister might change his mind. He's obviously deeply hurt by it, but I think the most important thing from his point of view is to go with a certain amount of grace and to save face. It's a difficult situation for anybody who's been Prime Minister. I'm sure he didn't intend to fail, but he has failed, and he's not going to stay there. So I hope he's treated well and can go with dignity. I also hope that Andy Burnham doesn't walk straight into number 10 for a number of reasons. I think he would, if he does end up in number 10, I think he would be better if he was challenged on some of his ideas, because he's a bit policy light at the moment.
Right.
And I think we need to know exactly what he would do before supporting him to go into number 10. He's contradicted himself many times, and some of his ideas certainly frighten the markets. So I think we need a challenge, whether it's from Keir Starmer, which might be humiliating for him, or somebody else in the PLP.
It'd be, frankly, it'd be anti-democratic. We're at a general election to suddenly go, right, New Prime Minister's going to do things completely differently. We're not going to tell you what. But let's have a little look, because he did make a speech yesterday laying out a new path for Britain. What can we ascertain from what he has said?
There isn't a leadership contest at the moment. There isn't one at the moment. But as I've said on many, many occasions, I don't think that's a good thing for the country, to plunge us into chaos. I would also add that now that Andy has won, which is really important, really good, he's a huge asset to us, then now will inevitably be a Manchester mayoralty by-election starting straight away. So it's important that we pull together for that. But if there is a contest, just to be clear with you, then yes, I will run, I will stand. I've said repeatedly, I'm not going to walk away from that.
Right. Keir Starmer saying he's going to get stuck into the competition. Let's have a look now at what Andy Burnham had to say.
It is our last chance to change, but we're going to take it, aren't we? We are going to take that opportunity, and we are going to lay out a new path for Britain.
There you go. He's laying out the new path for Britain. He got my memo about learning a trade. But what we know so far, because I jotted down little notes from when he did his sort of ad hoc press conference in the morning, he was speaking about the unfairness of HMOs, which I thought was interesting. He was talking about reindustrialising Britain. And he was also talking about reforming the further education system to make it less dependent upon academia and potentially more vocational. And things that, to me, in some respects, sounded a little bit more right-wing. But the execution of those, particularly when it comes to, let's say, reindustrialisation or immigration policy, I think is going to be tremendously difficult for him.
I think that's right. And that's why he needs challenging on these things. I think if you ask 99% of people in the United Kingdom, they would say, yes, we've got to get our industry back. And to be an independent country, an independent parliamentary democracy, it's not just about having the right to vote. It's about having the strength to produce things and to negotiate internationally. So we need that industry back, but it's a detailed issue. You have to get people to invest both in the UK and internationally. Usually the industrialists themselves have to be convinced that they will make money out of doing it. It's a tough thing to do, but it's a desirable objective. But we need to know how he will do it, and that's true for all the other policies he's announced.
It seems to me, though, we don't really know particularly what he's going to do, but we have some idea of the people he surrounds himself with and what their ideologies are, based upon what sort of wing of the Labour Party they come from, but also things they may or may not have delivered as politicians themselves. And it strikes me that it's rumoured that he is potentially lining up Ed Miliband to be Chancellor. Now, I can't see how a net zero strategy, and that a zealous net zero strategy, is going to help reindustrialise. Similarly, he seems to be quite chummy with Angela Rayner, who, of course, brought in a host of regulations against employers in the Workers' Rights Act. And then, you know, depending on what goes on in terms of taxation, we would be looking at potentially trying to lower taxes on businesses for, as you said, getting people to invest in this country, to start building out our industries.
I think Ed Miliband would be a disaster as Chancellor. His policies have stopped investment in the North Sea, stopped fracking, both of which used to be major Labour Party policies. It's stopping us creating jobs and stopping us not only supporting and having a gas and oil industry. There's lots of spin-offs from that in heavy industry that we could have. So I think Ed would be a disaster. He's sort of green levies are hurting both industry. We've got the most expensive fuel costs in the world for industry, and almost the fourth highest for domestic consumers. All that's bad news for the economy. So if Andy appointed Ed as Chancellor, he could give up on the rest of his objectives, I think. The markets wouldn't like it. It would be a disaster.
It's funny because that is what's been sort of heavily tipped, isn't it? That it will be Ed Miliband. That's quite alarming. Do you think...
Other people, to be fair, other people are being tipped. So there's a list in one of this morning's broadsheets saying there's a list of 9 potential candidates. Don't ask me to name the 9. I don't think I could. But it was a long list of people.
Yeah, no, it is interesting. I mean, we've got to this ridiculous stage in British politics where this is essentially potentially our 7th Prime Minister in a decade. We were both on the same side in the Brexit campaign. Do you feel, Graeme, that the sort of complete abject lack of discipline, the anti-democratic games being played by the Remainers during that period has sort of set a sort of lowered standards now in politics, where there is no more singing off the same hymn sheet. It's faction fighting, it's plotting, it's the sort of doing the politicking rather than sensibly doing politics.
I certainly think the shenanigans that went on after the vote 10 years ago, that went on for a whole 5 years before we actually left the European Union, damaged the economy fundamentally and damaged the trust in democracy. Those people, many of whom had given up voting because they didn't think policies were being delivered for them, had gone out, got themselves registered on the electoral register and voted, and they thought that was it. They'd voted to come out, it would happen. And there was 5 years of which the Prime Minister, the current Chancellor of the Exchequer, and a good percentage of the Cabinet tried to sabotage that alongside a Conservative government. So I do think that was an extraordinarily bad thing, both economically and democratically.
It's interesting because back then the big issue that sort of blew up political parties and was a hill for people to die on was Brexit. I would suggest that today the big issue is immigration. And the government has currently gone quite quiet on smashing the gangs. We've not really heard much. But I don't really have much of a clue, other than Andy Burnham saying, well, you know, HMOs can be unfair. That's all we've sort of heard, that depending on where they're built, I don't really know what his argument was there. But the public need to know where he stands on this. This is probably the biggest, most emotive doorstep issue. And I feel like that, you know, he's got to be able to answer that. And if he's not able to address that problem or be seen to be addressing the problem, it's curtains.
I think the small boats issue, crossing the channel, is a symbol of a failure of government. We can't be a country if we can't control our own borders, and we certainly can't. People are coming across here having paid international criminals a lot of money to come here. They've destroyed their own documents, and then they're immediately getting health and dental services, food and shelter, whatever the shelter is. And it drives my constituents mad. It's unfair. They find it difficult to get in to see a GP. The dental service is very poor. They can't even get registered to see dentists, and then they see these people who've paid nothing into the system, cheating the system, and they're furious. And it's not just saying we'll smash the gangs, we'll stop it. There has to be a clear understanding of what you do in order to smash that. And I think we have to leave the European Convention on Human Rights and the Refugee Convention, which may or may not have been appropriate immediately after the Second World War, but now absolutely don't fit the situation we're in the first quarter of the 21st century.
No, I totally agree. It's, you know, tough times ahead for Andy Burnham. He might be riding on a wave of optimism now. That's why Peter Barnes and I both think, you know, strategically, he'd be quite sensible to potentially call an early general election in a sort of, you know, democratic show that he wants people to, you know, but... Do you think that if there was an early general election with the Burnham bounce from Makerfield, that it would be a risk, or do you think that would actually be quite a sensible approach?
All general elections are risks, so it would be a risk. But he ought to get the history books out and look at what Gordon Brown didn't do in 2007. He briefed the press that he was going for an early general election to get his own mandate. And then when George Osborne said he was going to get rid of stamp duty, he backed off and told everybody he'd never had a second thought about having a general election, even though the press had been told off the record that he was going. He never really recovered from that. So I think if Andy wants his own mandate, he'd need to go very quickly. Because all prime ministers lose popularity, and there are so many difficult issues ahead of him, which he hasn't really got a mandate for. It might be sensible to do that. I think Labour MPs would hate it, because while there is a risk in every general election, this would be riskier than most. Constitutionally, there's no necessity for a general election, but ethically, morally, and politically, there is a good case for it.
Yeah, it's a fascinating times we live in. I think the narrative is going to keep chopping and changing rapidly. Graeme, it's always great to catch up with you. Graeme Stringer, Labour MP for Blackley and Middleton South. Proper old Labour. I think in one of my sort of guises, I would be old Labour.
Oh, yeah. This is what really annoys me when everybody in the Labour Party is all this or all that.
Not
no,
old
they're
Labour.
not.
Old Labour was
Labour.
solid.
People like Graeme.
They were the ones who were pro-Brexit back in the day, anti-EU, anti the ECC.
Pro-industrialisation.
Pro-industrialisation. It was all about the working class. But it's gone like that, hasn't it? Where really those are now the mantras and the mores of the right wing, and the Labour Party have adopted all of the sort of like poncy metropolitan elite positions.
I don't like to give him too much credit, but Andre Walker has the best line on this. That the Labour Party is the only party to sack its own voters.
That's a very good line.
Yeah, and it annoys me that he was the one that said it. But literally, it was the idea that they just got rid of them because they don't like the people that believe in that stuff. This is why the Labour Party are failing.
It's not unique to the UK. All the left wing's done this around the world.
Yeah,
it's gone 100%. Sort of hoity-toity.
Yeah, there was one interesting thing he brought up there was actually industrialisation, because I look at the polling that shows that Reform members who are members of trade unions it's through the roof. It's absolutely through the roof. And yet the leadership of trade unions is very, very radical lefty. And yet the membership is not. So that is a huge problem for the unions have got. And if Andy comes out with a lot of this kind of pro-industrialised stuff with the detail, I mean, we're in for some very interesting times for the future of the Labour Party as it's built.
I'm thinking strategy aloud here. I miss doing political strategy.
Yeah,
it was
it's
great.
Good fun.
It's good fun.
Yeah.
Because do you know what? If I was Reform right now, I would probably start putting the pressure on now. You want to be Prime Minister, get your mandate.
To be fair, I always
get your mandate. Because Reform's best chance, I would think, and I don't know where they are at in candidate selection process, but I think they've been doing it for a while. They've just done it for the locals. So you know they've got sort of vetted local candidates who might be able to step into it. I mean, all parties, a quick election unfoots people. But that is the way to vanquish Restore.
Yes.
Because they just wouldn't be able to, put up anyone but a few.
But I do think that Graham's right that it is a risk. I think Andy Burnham would be in the Rishi Sunak situation.
Yeah.
Does this say stop the bleeding? Because, the Labour Party might face a very brutal bloodbath. Or is he going to hope that his own popularity pushes him through?
Yeah.
Because of what you've rather nicely named the Burnham Bounce.
The Burnham Bounce.
Which is what I expect the press is now going to call it.
There you go. It started here.
It started here. But no, again, this whole kind of playing this out, these different scenarios, it is literally just down to his decision.
He will.
Because he's bang on about Brown. He is bang on about Brown.
Yeah.
He never got over that.
Whatever happens, whatever the Burnham bounce is, will last all of about 2 months before it starts to go down really quickly, because he will have rebellions in the backbench if he tries to do what the public wants, and if he doesn't do what the public wants, the polling's going to hurt.
I still think he's got a bit of a fight on his hands to become Prime Minister.
Really?
After what Graham's just said there, he needs to be pushed, there needs to be a challenge. This is not a coronation in any stretch. I really don't think it is. I really don't think it is.
Interesting. Well, it's good for people in our industry.
Oh, God, yes. The mortgage is going to be paid.
No, Ed Millamander's Chancellor yet.
No. Tension bed.
Now, talking about Andy Burnham, at yesterday's morning press conference, he was introduced, I was going to say on stage, behind the microphone in the field, by his wife. Oh. Who is she? What's her name? Where's she from? Who is this woman? Is she even a woman? No, I'm sure.
Oh,
I'm joking.
Oh, here we go.
I'm joking only because Andy Burnham has famously flip-flopped on the whole, you know, can a woman have a penis thing.
Oh, I thought you were doing the whole Macron thing.
I'm not actually alleging that Burnham's wife is a man.
Yes.
No,
I
I'm
just
not.
thought that's what you were wondering.
Playing on the idea of Burnham changing his policy on that.
Yeah.
Oh, Bridget Macron. Anyway, that's what we want to know. What is the name of Andy Burnham's wife? Where is she from? Clue, she's not British. OK, we're going to take a short break and answers on a postcard, please. By the way, after the break, we want to do some calls, don't we,
Yes, we do.
Yeah, we do. Make that you. 03444 99 1000. You can dial up now. Rory is waiting. We love Rory.
Yes,
It's a phenomenal character.
We were a bit mean
got
to
a great
him
gallery today. We got old Periscope, Tech Up, Rory, Faith.
They also have
Clean
names.
Yeah, Rory, Faith, Tech Up and Periscope.
Periscope.
I know, his parents were creative. Anyway, we also want your messages and WhatsApps. We want more jingles. We love the jingles. Anyway, so there you go. It's all about you after the break. So grab the bull by the horns and get involved. We'll be catching up with you just after this.
Current affairs, international news, letting criminals off while sending... Oi! Oi! You shut up. I'm trying to record something.
Stand by for 3 powerhouse hours of breaking news, challenging views. I don't give a flying damn about international law. I think people will viscerally reject this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Alex Phillips at the weekend with, we just call him Peter.
We just call him Peter.
Yeah.
Saint Peter to me. Never, actually. Sinner Peter. Evil Peter.
Yeah, fallen Peter.
Do you know, talking about... Oh, let's get this out of the way for you.
Yeah.
OK, right, tension bed.
Tension bed.
Oh, actually, as a segue from the answer to this into what I was about to talk about randomly. So my question was, Burnham's wife joined him at his morning press conference yesterday. What's her name? Where's she from?
It's something like Van Heel, isn't it?
It is Van Heel. Well,
Yeah.
she's not like an
Well,
80s rock group.
Yes, yeah.
She's got a first name before the Van Heel. Anyway, she's Marie France.
Yes.
Marie France, Van Heel.
Van Heel. I don't know, is she Dutch?
She's Dutch.
Dutch, yeah.
There you go.
I presume
No,
with a name like that.
This was randomly. I was going to go down a weird tangent about Evil Pete.
Right, okay.
And it actually connects to the Netherlands, which is quite good.
Okay.
Which is like, you know, like, there are
remember
some
this
very
guy.
non-woke traditions that take place around the world.
Yes.
You know, at Christmas time, they've got like a sort of dark Christmas character.
Oh,
Black Pete.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, they've got Black Pete in the Netherlands and in parts of Belgium.
Yeah.
Which, you know, the wokerati keep trying to ban because it's basically just, well,
Yeah.
you can imagine what Black Pete
Yeah.
might look like.
Yeah.
I have no idea why that popped into my head, but it did.
Yeah.
Everyone now is going to be Googling Black Pete.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they'll be like, oh,
I
that
really
still
hope
goes
that-
on, does it, in
I'd
parts
rather
of Europe?
hope that there is not an AI image coming my way.
Shall we do a call?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, let's speak to Andrew, who is in wonderful Halifax. I love Halifax.
Yeah.
Great place. Hi there, Andrew.
Good morning. How you doing?
Hello.
Can you hear me all right?
I hear you just fine.
Oh, brilliant. Well, I was just saying to your your assistant there that I've actually taken. I'm a house that flies the flag, the Union flag, from my flagpole. But this morning I've decided to take it down, give it a wash, and put it away back in the wardrobe.
Why? Why have you done that?
Because after Thursday, I've just come to the conclusion that this country is no longer worth defending, and I'm no longer prepared to make myself ill and put the efforts in and then get all depressed because, left-wing cultist imbeciles all together, in one of the most stupid, damaging decisions that I've witnessed in modern politics. So, as far as I'm concerned, the voters of Makerfield can go to hell, and the entire country that thinks like them can go to hell.
Wow, strong words there from Andrew in Halifax. I mean, this is something that we were sort of talking about this earlier, that this ridiculous situation we've reached now where politicians just play faction fighting, leadership challenges. The voters aren't there going, oh, let's have an election. Oh, let's change Prime Minister. I mean, we hate Starmer, for sure. But, that is the nature of being a politician. Your approval ratings are always going like that. And this constant sort of changing the person at the top, having these by-elections where what number of people voted in Makerfield? It's like 20,000 or something.
Or how many?
20,000 were eligible.
Eligible, I think so, yeah.
And so if it was a 50 vote, it must have been about, what, 10,000? No, I don't know.
No, I think it's more than that, but yeah.
There were basically a couple of tens of thousands of people, let's say 20,000 people-ish, voted potentially on the person who's going to be the new Prime Minister of this country with ideology and policies that we don't even know, we've not been told, that will affect 80 million people.
Yeah.
It's quite mad.
Welcome to parliamentary democracy. This is our system. It's primus inter pares. If you want a presidential system, we should have that. But this is the system that we've got. This is the system that is actually, I think is probably the better version of it. And, yeah, the thing is, the people in Makerfield didn't want this by-election because, surprisingly to most people, they didn't hate the last guy. They actually rather liked Josh Simmons because he did something. People were paying attention to him. The thing that everybody got wrong in this campaign is nobody bothered to talk to Makerfield. Nobody actually asked the voters what do they want. We all made this about Westminster Games.
But it was Westminster Games. Yeah. That's the point of it.
No, but this is what I'm saying. You should have focused it on the constituency. And I don't really like it when people start insulting voters because they didn't vote the way that they wanted them to vote. I don't think that is a very healthy bit of our democracy, to start holding areas accountable for a decision that you don't agree with. I think that's a dangerous thing to do.
But what is also interesting... Yeah.
Could I come back there? Could I come back there? Yeah, well, I'm sorry, I disagree. This was a voter base. This was a group that looked at the country, saw rampant immigration, the abuse of our borders on a daily basis, rampant welfarism, wokeism, and thought, hey, I know, we'll have another dose of that, but with extra sugar added. I'm sorry, those people deserve condemnation.
I don't agree with that at all, and I happen to be from that constituency, so I'd be not to take that personally, but
I think as well, I tend to agree with those people who have said that, look, what's gone on in Makerfield wasn't a vote for Labour. Burnham didn't actually campaign with the word Labour anywhere near his materials. It was vote Andy for us. It was a presidential campaign, basically. But what's interesting is I think that I agree with the idea that people voted to get Starmer out. And this is the misfit we've got in the United Kingdom, because we've become, again, with the advent of social media especially, character politics, personality politics a lot. But we don't have a presidential system. We don't have that. And we don't have a president who has executive powers. And so people also massively overestimate what a prime minister can even do, let alone, therefore, what they stand for. So it is more about, and this is what people don't understand. I don't blame them for that, because you're absolutely right, Andrew. People should vote in terms of the party and the ideology of the party and the delivery of that party. And if that's what people are doing in Makerfield, then they're essentially endorsing the Labour Party and the bonfire of a wreck they've left the country in. But they were voting sort of against Labour. It was weird.
No, I actually think we need to go back to what our parliament and democracy actually is, and that is vote for the individual MP. We need to get rid of political parties. They're the problem, because that's where all the gamesmanship comes into. We should have... there used to be what they call tied to the land. In other words, you were responsible for that bit of land. You were that representative of the area. Political parties have poisoned our politics because a parliamentary system... Because once you've got an MP's career and their mortgage and their livelihood and their kids' futures in their hands, an MP is then beholden to the party. They're not beholden to the people they represent.
Yeah.
That is the bit we need to get rid of. That's one of the reasons I left party politics, is because they're the problem.
Yeah.
It's not really the system.
Yeah.
It's careerism, but also it is the fact that parties get to decide who are candidates.
But that's where actually Burnham could wield quite a lot of influence, because he could turn around and say, look, this is what I'm going to do. This is what needs to happen, because this is what the voters clearly want. So things like passing that welfare bill that Starmer just couldn't get through. Burnham could turn around and say, you vote for this because otherwise the economy crashes, or I'm going to call an early general election.
Yes.
And a number of you will lose your seats.
That is what
also they go, oh, well, better vote for it now then.
I've never understood why Starmer never did that.
Yeah.
I never understood why, if he wanted to regain control of the Labour Party like that, the snap of his fingers is literally, I will go to the general, I will pull the red cord and I will literally go for a general election.
Yeah.
That's it. It's obviously, you do the whole kind of brinkmanship, I'll do it, and then eventually you do have to do it. But, the number of Labour MPs that will be one-termers, and we all know that they're there, I mean, they'll be terrified because they've not been able to get their next career in line.
No.
So why he never did that, I'll never understand.
Oh, fascinating conversations. Andrew, do you know what? Thank you. I agree with your sentiment, but I kind of think in life, if you try and be optimistic and do optimistic, positive things, it's your own sort of self-therapy. Put the flag back up. Anyway, lovely to speak to you. And if you want to be like Andrew and talk with Barnesy and I always feel the need to say
everybody says it like this now. Yeah, everyone says it like this now. Yeah.
Barnesy. Anyway, 0344.
We wandered off there.
Yeah. I'm making our own jingles now. 0344 499 1000 is the number to call your normal network rate. 87222 is the number if you want to send a text message, write the word talk before you text, and if you'd like to leave us a voice note, particularly a jingle on WhatsApp, 0344 499 1000 gets you there as well. Right, are you ready for question at number 6?
Yes. Attention bed.
Miguel Almiron. Do you know who that is?
No.
Oh, well.
Is he a footballer?
Yes. He became the first player to be sent off for a newly introduced rule in the World Cup during a feisty match between Paraguay and Turkey. What I want you to tell me is, what was this newly introduced rule that he broke, causing him to be sent off the pitch? And it's weird. I had to read the story twice. I was like, what? Anyway, what is it? Let me know. We're going to be catching up with Ben Habib as well, just after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Live on Talk, Alex and Peter. being bamboozled by questions.
I love that one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm bamboozled by having to write the blimming.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. It's actually, it's a hateful task.
Yes.
I now have a new level of respect for people who put together pub quizzes.
Oh,
Because when someone says, right, write a quiz, you immediately just go, because I want to ask questions on, things that I like.
Yeah, that's
which
half
is
the thing,
generally
yeah.
weird that no one else could answer, like niche capital cities and Formula One drivers from the 90s. But instead I've made it about the news. And then what you find is, oh gosh, the themes of the news are the same for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
How many more questions can I ask about Andy Burnham?
Exactly, yeah.
Anyway, so World Cup is going on, so we're going to have football questions, and I know both you and I,
I've done so well, I've not seen any of it. I've
I watched
literally
on
avoided all of
Wednesday,
it.
And there was a bit in the middle that I kind of liked,
It's
where they
half-time.
kept trying to... Yeah. I was in the pub.
Yeah.
It was half-time.
That's when everyone can have a drink again.
I tell you what, there was this whole thing. I was at my local pub, and there was this whole thing where they have these hydration breaks now.
Yeah.
And there'd be the hydration break, and literally everyone in the pub went outside the pub for a cigarette.
Yeah.
Basically, it's just okay. Footballers have their hydration break. The locals will have their fact break.
Yeah, I'm going to say I've seen a lot of people on social media been like, oh, we've been having hydration breaks in football for a very long time.
But yeah, my neighbour and I were sitting there. There was a bit in the middle I liked, so they kept sort of going for goal, and that was like, that was kind of fun. But then it got to sort of, with half an hour to go, and we were literally going, I want to go home. And I said, we just got to hold out another half hour. That's all we've got. Because I said, if we score another goal or this, we want to be part of it.
Yes, yeah.
And we're just sitting there nattering away and occasionally look at the screen. And then... Afro Shell, who's one of my neighbours, was like, oh no, because she actually likes football.
Yeah.
She's like, oh no, they actually add the hydration breaks as well onto. And I was like, how dare they? No, stop
I never
it.
understood about this football. Just stop the clock and then carry on again.
Yeah, but
why do they not do that? Every other sport seems to do
Yeah.
this.
It's so weird that you just sort of think the match has ended. It's like, no, we've got this round.
Here's another hour and a half of it.
Yeah. It's like, don't do that. Don't gaslight us.
My favourite was I actually went to watch England at Wembley one time. I don't know how that happened, but my friend went, when's interval? And I was like, oh, you usually go to the theatre, don't you, darling? We were the two most out-of-place people.
We've got to answer this question.
Yes, of course.
So, Miguel Almiron became the first player to be sent off for what newly introduced rule in the World Cup during a particularly feisty match.
I actually have no idea. Because it's it could be anything.
This is where it gets weird.
Right.
He covered his mouth.
Oh. I don't think I've ever got that.
So apparently, because I was like, what?
Yeah.
How's that thing? Apparently, because there's loads of racist abuse, and so if you give racist abuse, if you find, someone can lip read, you're abusing someone racially or in a non-politically correct way, you can be sort of, sent off, red carded or whatever. So now what they do is go...
Right.
So yeah, this is what I think about Starmer.
Right. I didn't know.
I mean, how ridiculous and woke and mind control are we that you can't even, speak something that people can't even hear or see? You just do that and say, oh, you're evil.
Yeah, do you know that the pictures of the three monkeys where they see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil, it's not... So, again, it's written as a warning. It's not an instruction manual.
Right, let's get over to Ben Hubby. He's been waiting patiently while we've been blathering on. Hello, good morning, Ben. How are you?
Good morning. Very well, thank you. I nearly said non-crime hate incident. They introduced non-crime hate incidents to football, and they clearly have, haven't they?
Yeah, exactly. No, this is it. What a ridiculous thing. But I might start adopting it. I might just sort of,
Do that.
Those are my thoughts on Rupert Lowe. What are yours? Anyway, the Makerfield by-election, I mean, it really did become sort of one of those, so many multi-narratives going on simultaneously, but those of us on the right, it was all about whether or not the right vote is splitting, is that a good idea, etc. Now, I know that you've had an interesting relationship with Restore. At one point, you were told, push off, don't get involved. Then you were told, get involved. Then there was sort of racist abuse hurled at you. And then you sort of said, I don't want to be involved in this. And then you went up and campaigned for them. Have you decided where you're settling?
I haven't campaigned for Restore. But you're right. I've had a kind of peculiar relationship with Restore, and I suppose one would, by extension, say Rupert Lowe, because when I set up Advance, the idea was that Rupert Lowe would lead Advance, but then he decided not to do it. He went and set up this movement called Restore Britain. I did Advance, and then months later he converted Restore Britain into a political party. And again, I did offer to merge Advance with Restore at that point. That was really the last sort of proper engagement of a binding, a sort of proposal for binding us together that occurred. And since then, a couple of things have happened with Restore, one of which you've already touched on. But the two things in my mind that I think make Restore a challenging proposition is that, one, the political party is owned by Rupert Lowe, and two, it undoubtedly has a seam of people running through it who hold views which, frankly, are not acceptable in political discourse, not the political discourse that I would wish to have. And I have had abuse hurled at me by certain parts of that party, abuse that I haven't heard since 1979 or 1980. I actually thought it was pretty much gone in the United Kingdom. And it's particularly peculiar hurling that abuse at me because I would argue, and this might offend some of them, that I am as British, perhaps more British in many ways than they are. I have a deep understanding and love of this country, and I would die for this country. And there are fewer people, I think, that would put the interests of this country higher than I would. But yet they still manage to find, issues with my background. And so there is something wrong there. And if Restore wishes to become a genuine political force that can form a government or even be part of a government, it does have to get rid of the ownership of the party by Rupert Lowe. I've told Rupert Lowe that myself. And it does have to denounce some of these more extreme views that are coming out. I did say I would go and campaign in Makerfield. I offered to do it. But then, I got a whole load of abuse from people who said they didn't want me there.
Because you're the wrong colour, Ben.
Well, if you don't want me there, that's fair enough. I won't go.
This is the problem, though, because Rupert Lowe was challenged. I mean, what's interesting about Makerfield is the mask has slipped now. What was the sort of big social media entity? We've actually sort of wanted to hold people to account. And when Rupert Lowe's been asked about this, his response has been very bullish, which is we're not going to police our members. He's not made any moves to say that Steve Laws shouldn't be advocating for the party. He's not said anything. And I can pretty much sense that he knows full well that if he were to suddenly come out and say, we do not accept racism, we do not accept ethno-nationalism, this is not the way our party is aligned, it doesn't matter about the colour of your skin, he's lost it. He will lose his campaign manager who pushes that. He'll lose all of his paid advocates who push that. He will lose instantly a huge chunk of his support. He can't do that anymore without blowing up the entire movement, because the movement rests upon a significant amount of that.
So, I don't think for a second that Rupert Lowe is a racist. I don't think that for a second. There are some entities in his party that hold views, as I say, that I find repugnant and which I think shouldn't have no place in political discourse. I do think that I have a lot of sympathy with Rupert Lowe when he says he's not going to police his membership, because membership, just like voting, is political association is something everyone should be allowed to have. But when an individual says things which clearly brings a party into disrepute, particularly people who seem to be quite high up in a party, they need to be dealt with. And it's not just Steve Laws, there are a few others. I'm not going to name names. But the way forward that I see him, I've had a couple of days or a day and a half to think about it. The thing that I think needs to take place is for the so-called right-hand side of British politics to recognise that the electorate is increasingly becoming polarised. I mean, we've had division, much greater division in politics than we've ever had since 2016. 2016 was the beginning of great divisions in our political fabric. And those divisions are getting more and more they're getting more sort of pronounced, and they're getting more extreme. And the reason they're getting more pronounced and extreme is because the governing class is not getting a grip of the problem. Every time an innocent child gets killed, instead of denouncing the killers, they denounce those who protest, for example. And I think what Nigel Farage and Reform have to do is recognise that this is taking place, and to recognise that, notwithstanding the elements in Restore that they might not like, it may be time to actually have a private meeting with Rupert Lowe and see if there's a mechanism.
But why? I mean, look, I understand
which
it
this
ain't
can all
going to
be
remotely
addressed.
happen. It won't happen because the two of them have just burnt all their bridges. I can't see it happening in a minute. I tried to broker a conversation with them a year ago, which is why I was on the phone to Rupert for an hour as he blasted at me how much the Tories wanted him. And I was like, oh, what's going on here then, son? That didn't come out of nowhere. You know, I don't know if you remember. I know you remember the men and measures lists of 2019 because you and I spoke about it. Remember when the candidates...
Yeah, well, the whole thing was awful. I mean, it was
who
all
was
about
part
democracy.
of brokering that,
Yeah.
and who was having meetings with them and was the first candidate to stand down. That relationship has been going on a long time. You know that, Ben, because we've spoken about it. The bridges are burnt so much now. And, you know, Reform would say, why
But
should
you say
we
that,
have
Alex,
him...
can I just interrupt you on that? You say bridges are burnt.
Yeah. Do you not think?
These are two seasoned politicians. They've got hides of rhinoceroses. They know what they need to do to fix things.
Okay, if they've got hides of rhinoceroses, let me give you an analogy, Ben. You know, Rupert Lowe wasn't playing a team sport when he was an MP for Reform. At least that is what Reform alleges. I'm not in Reform, I'm not behind the scenes in meetings, I don't know. What they allege, and I can well imagine it, knowing Rupert, is he was not a team player. He didn't want to sing off the same hymn sheet. He was trying to push the party in the direction that Restore is going, frankly, which Reform said we're not going to go in that direction. We're not going to do ethno-nationalism. We're not going to start, you know, throwing around statements which is going to... Well, first of all, they might not agree with those, but secondly, that is not how you do serious politics. You immediately lose a huge flag from the centre. But let me finish. Now, so as a result, you know, there were various things that went on. The whip was removed. Now, I agree with people who say what happened in the aftermath was despicable. Police and all the rest of it. But my analogy is this. When you break up with someone, right, if you've been dumped by your boyfriend, you find out he's cheating on you, he's a horrible person, you go eat ice cream, you cry with your friends, you know, throw some photographs into the fireplace. You don't set up a political party and try and screw up all of British politics.
Well,
you get over yourself.
No, I think there's a legitimate point to make that Reform has become a bit of a mishmash of everything, Tory 2.0, Nadine Zahawi, Jake Berry, Nadine Dorries, all these kind of things, and haven't been prepared to make the brave declarations that need to be made in order to put this country on the right path. There's a great fear, I think, in Reform of saying things that might result in Reform losing popularity.
I think, I agree with that. I agree with that.
It's that fear that undermined Boris Johnson and has so undermined politics for so many years in this country. I totally agree. Do
you know, it's because now so much political strategy is based upon focus groups. You're not supposed to just be reactive and try and second.
Absolutely.
The public want to be told what to do. They want leadership. The Trumpian-style politics, where you say, this is what I want and I'm just going to tell you what I intend to do. Like it or lump it, and you take the gamble that people are going to like it.
Yeah.
Too much of politics now is focus groups and what's trending on Twitter and newspaper headlines, not actually having conviction. And I always used to think that, you know, Nigel Farage was that person, was the conviction politician, was the Overton window in many respects. But then when you see what historically has happened to him over the course of time by doing that, the death threats, the persecution, the ostracisation, the demonisation, you can have a sympathy to some degree when you suddenly look and going, well, I've got to build a cohort of voters that represents over 30%. I'm going to have to tone down. Look, I'm not saying he should be doing that. I'm saying I can understand from a position of political strategy why that might have been adopted. I think in many respects it is a shame. If I was running strategy, I would be sort of suggesting what you're suggesting, have a bit more conviction.
It is a shame. I think it is a shame, and I think it's particularly a shame because the electorate is becoming much more impatient.
Yes,
with our political class. They are they're pissed off. The reason we've got a 9-foot-4 metal fence around Park.
Sorry, Ofcom, I don't know if Faith loves that word or not, but Ben, you're not allowed. You're not allowed to say that, Ben.
Innocent as that.
Ben, as innocent as
it's
that.
It's 2026.
They're getting
okay, that's okay. Faith says all I have to do, I've got to do it properly, by the way. Seriously, the rules of this.
Okay.
Any viewers or listeners who were particularly exercised or offended by the use of Ben's colourful use of language there, we as a station sincerely apologise. Carry on.
Okay, I suspect none of Talk's viewers would have.
No, I know. No, stop it, Ben. I'm going to have to now re-Ofcom myself and apologise. This is the rules, okay? I just committed an airborne non-crime hate incident.
Right.
Now, watch your mouth, Mr.
But
Habib.
the reason there are 9-foot-tall metal fences around Parliament, the reason there are 9-foot-tall metal fences around Parliament is because Parliament is increasingly separated from the people. It's the most optical example of the separation. They need that protection because they're not representing the people. They've got to come and represent the people. Farage has this unique opportunity. He's had a few unique opportunities in his career, 2016, 2019, and he's got one now. And if you don't mind me saying so, he shirked 2016 and 2019. He handed the baton to Boris Johnson. We can have that debate separately.
We were on the same page on that as well, weren't we, in 2019?
Yeah. Don't shirk this one.
Yeah.
Take the high road. Recognise that however you might view Rupert Lowe, the individual, or some of the people in his party, there is a massive and growing number of British, law-abiding, perfectly kind, sensible, gentle British citizens who want things to change dramatically in this country. They want to get rid of the extreme form of governance that has been perpetrated over 30 years. And Rupert Lowe, whatever you might think of him, is helping move the pendulum in that direction. So Farage has a choice. Does he move in that direction himself and continue to combat Rupert Lowe? Or does he find an accommodation with Rupert Lowe? Those are the two choices. Because Rupert Lowe will continue to get 5 to 10%.
You can't have an accommodation with Rupert Lowe if he's working with other people. Anyway, we've got to leave it there. Let's go and have a drink and some food soon and have a good old gossip. That's Ben Habib, leader of Advance UK. Is he leader of Advance UK? Does it still exist? I don't know.
I don't think... No, I think it's officially folded the other week, didn't it?
That is Ben, not Barnsley.
Yeah.
It's interesting, look. I don't think... I understand what Ben's saying. I can't see any value strategically. This isn't me taking sides. I see zero strategic value in Rupert Lowe going back into reform because now...
Oh, that's never going to happen.
Now it's so besmirched. I'm afraid all this sort of white supremacist funding... The media establishment have just started talking about Restore.
Yeah.
If Rupert Lowe goes into reform, where they boom all over Nigel at any opportunity, all of that awfulness, which has been on the front page of Daily Mail, is now attached to reform. And it will be a distraction. It'll be this, Restore said this, Restore said, why did you let him back in your party? They will turn, the establishment will turn Rupert Lowe into the Tommy Robinson, you know.
Yeah.
If you say anything decent about him, you're evil. You know, that's what they will do. There is no strategic value, and I don't see why they should have
It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen because reform members would also lose their minds because, again, we've made everything so personal that, you know, Rupert Lowe is the reason, you know, they've lost a by-election and all this kind of stuff. It has to stop.
It's got to stop. If you break up with someone, just cry for a few days.
Well, I don't think it was necessarily that they broke up with each other. He ran to the police.
Oh, it's... No,
they ran to the police.
It's all just a nonsense. It shouldn't be dragging us into it.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is part of the problem.
Right.
When you handle things very badly.
Oh, no, I agree with that.
Yeah,
we've got to go. We've got to get napped by Faith.
Go. Sorry, Faith.
Tension back, quick. A closing time brawl broke out at the official opening of Lidl's first pub.
What?
I know. Lidl's apparently opening pubs. Where is that pub?
Oh.
OK, answer after this. We're catching up with the rail experts to talk more on the terrible incident yesterday in Bedfordshire. OK, stay tuned.
Current affairs, international news, letting criminals off while sending... Oi! You shut up. I'm trying to record something.
Stand by for 3 powerhouse hours of breaking news, challenging views. I don't give a flying damn about international law. I think people will viscerally reject this.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Alex Phillips on a Saturday on Talk.
I love that. I love that so much. Yeah,
it's the greatest.
Yeah,
It's still the original and the best.
It is. It really is. It really is.
But we do want more.
Yes.
No one's sending them in anymore. Their little job's done now.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Got one for every advert, right? No need to make new material. Come on. Right.
Yeah. Tension bed.
A closing time brawl broke out. It's the official opening of Lidl's first pub.
I know.
Where was it?
I'm just going to make a guess. I'll go for Maidstone.
It's Dundonald in Belfast.
Really?
Yeah. Also, I've got an ambition to stay in a Wetherspoons hotel. Ever since they've set up hotels, I'm like, I've got to get that on
They've been around a long time.
Wetherspoons
Hotels, yeah.
And I've got to go to the Lidl's pub now.
Did you ever not have any political conference in Manchester? Because that one was always like the first place everybody always wanted to get into because it's right next to it and it's also spoons. But yeah,
I love spoons. We'll talk about spoons later. Right, let us get back to the story that broke yesterday, which is 2 passenger trains collided in the Bedford area. The crash happened between 2 East Midlands Railway services shortly after 5 o'clock on Friday, confirming the death shortly before 9 o'clock, which we understand was of the driver. We know that now the crash has left 89 people injured to varying degrees. Well, let's now speak to Philip Hay, who is a freelance railway journalist. Philip, what do we understand might have gone on here? Because it's my belief that we have very safe rail networks in the United Kingdom. What could have happened to cause this horrific incident?
Well, yes, you're right. We do have a very, very safe railway network in the UK, one of the safest in the world, although when you see pictures such as we've seen from the accident at Bedford, it's a harder claim to make. And the pictures themselves show, I think, quite clearly that one train has run into the back of another one. Now, the exact circumstances, quite why it's happened, what caused it, we don't yet know. And it will be something that the Rail Accident Investigation Branch will be examining very, very closely over the next days, weeks and months.
Is this likely to be a technical failure? Because in the bits I've picked up so far, I get the impression that there are various electronic override systems that even if a driver might make something and make a mistake based upon human error, there should be other systems that kick in which theoretically would prevent something like this.
Yeah, there are those systems in place, and the signalling is designed to keep trains apart so that this sort of thing doesn't happen. That will be something that the accident investigators are going to be looking very, very closely at to discover precisely what happened in this case.
Now, this has sort of made headlines here and actually around the world because I think, I cannot remember in my own history a situation of a significant rail collision. When was the last time in the United Kingdom something like this happened?
Well, something like this, one train running into the rear of another train, I can't remember the last time something like that has happened. But there have been fatalities over the last few years, one in Mid Wales a couple of years ago, and the more well-known case up in Scotland about 6 years ago when a train derailed after striking a landslide. So accidents do happen. They are thoroughly investigated, but despite all of that, Britain does retain its place towards the top of the safety league.
How much is this going to potentially disrupt services? Because I'd imagine there has to be a degree of sort of forensic examination. If there's found to be a fault on these particular lines, perhaps there'll need to be repair works done, crash removals and all the rest of it. Is this going to significantly hamper the service on East Midlands Railway?
It will, yes, and you're right. That it will take time to recover these trains, take them off the track, move them to where they need to be, and then the track owner, Network Rail, needs to assess what damage has been caused. It needs to repair it and get the railway back fit for trains again. Now, I would suspect that this is going to be a matter of several days. Whether it's by Monday is a big question, but certainly by later in the week, I'd expect trains to be running on this stretch of track again.
And I suppose the overarching message, condolences to the family of the poor train driver who has lost his life, and to all of those affected with injuries, severe or otherwise. But I suppose the overarching message now to everyone else is, don't worry. By and large, our rail network, as you said, is one of the safest in the world.
Yeah, and I completely echo your condolences to the family of the train driver. That was an awful shock, and I think the wider railway industry has also been shocked by the events of yesterday. But yeah, the railway will recover. It does remain much safer than other modes of travel. UK rail is amongst the safest in the world, albeit it's always a hard claim to make at a time like this.
Indeed. Philip, thank you ever so much for joining us today. Philip Hay, freelance railway journalist. I've got the next quiz question, except I don't have the next quiz question.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure where my printout is. The screens are being really slow. It's frozen. So we're just going to have to not do the next quiz question now, because I can't tell you what it is, or I could invent something random. What's my middle name? There you go. Anyway, stay tuned, because coming up after the break, we're getting our usual stint in with Steve Gill, and we are going to have Professor Ralph Schulhammer on later to talk about EU migration policy. Don't go anywhere. Back after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Alex Phillips, Talk Radio, a clever woman on a common sense show. Beep.
Beep. Oh, that was beep. I was getting ready for her.
Oh, no, this was beep.
I did a beep.
Yeah.
But,
oh, you did the boy band power grab.
Yeah.
So you don't remember for the 90s, it was a power
all my
grab.
wires will get messed up if I did my Westlife spinning on the chair moment. You know, I can sort of
it's the
rotate
key change
and then...
stand up. Do you remember when you used to sell a stool?
No, that's right. You key change, stand up, and then you put your arms up like this and rotate.
Yes, that's it.
I blimmin' love Westlife.
Yeah.
I do. You know, our Dean loves Westlife.
Of course he does.
And, yeah. Oh my gosh, next weekend, by the way.
All right. Okay.
We're all going to a sausage and cider festival after the show. Are you coming?
I feel I have to
it's
just
full
to
of
watch.
tribute acts.
Okay, yes, now
it's
you've
going to
told
be
me.
sort of boy band tribute, cider and sausages.
Okay,
like,
sold.
What's not to like?
I mean, sold.
By the way, get that in your diary.
Yes,
if you want to come too, it's in St Albans. It's an open festival. Buy your tickets. We'll all be there. Imagine that if we've just ticket sales have surged by 5 people.
Yes.
I don't want to defy with holding up full fingers. 5 people.
Yes.
Sausages and cider.
Don't worry, people. There's only 54 minutes to go.
Right, yes. Also, this is just basically pleasantly reminding Steve Gill what he's dealing with in Britain.
Yes.
Anyway. Without further ado, let's talk to the wonderful, the marvellous, magnificent Mr. Steve Gill. He's our favourite American.
Yes.
Maybe sort of close, equal favourite American, because the Donald entertains me enormously, as he has just done today. When he was being interviewed about the 108-day-long war with Iran, is there a ceasefire? Is there not? What happens next? They're going to get 700 billion, are they not? All of this stuff. He was asked whether he had learned from the war about the bounds of his power. You know what he would have said about this, don't you? He said, I haven't learnt that lesson yet. I know there are, but there are no limits. Do you know, anyone else, that's quite terrifying. But with Donald Trump, I just find it rather adorable, really. Tell us, Steve, where are we at with the situation with Iran?
When President Trump says something like that, you just say, well, it's Friday. It's just a Friday or a Tuesday. And, he walked in to one of the meetings and, kind of mouthed off, I'm the boss, to all the G7 leaders. So nothing should be surprising. To me, the problem that we've had from the very beginning on this negotiated resolution with Iran is you literally cannot trust them. They had said, we had limited our ballistic missiles to 2,000 kilometers, and then they're firing them 4,000. We're not building, nuclear enriched capacity. And then they're admitting, it's about 50 or 60%, not the 5 or 10% for enriched uranium for nuclear power, not weapons. And then they reached this agreement that President Trump and the president signed. And they can't even keep their word for 2 hours before they declare, the Strait of Hormuz is closed again. So, I don't think there's a resolution other than going back to kinetic power, military action to hit them harder. So at some point, some reasonable person and persons there will say, okay, enough's enough. We have not destroyed their infrastructure, their power structure, their bridges and roads. And at some point, I think President Trump is going to have to do that. Now, right now, he wants the oil prices to come down in time for, I'm sorry, guys, July 4th, Independence Day, that day that, you got rid of us, we got rid of you. He wants the prices lower as Americans travel, this weekend or the weekend to come. So I think, again, he's let oil prices help dictate what he's doing. And in the long term, that's not going to help either the American economy or the global economy.
So interesting. You think, actually, once we get July the 4th out the way, there could be a resumption of strikes?
Yes, and I think it's because the Iranians are going to continue to poke the bear, so to speak, as they're doing again when they announce, okay, the strait's closed again. Now, keep in mind, there are a lot of, folks that are the Chicken Little screaming the sky is falling, that they've, interfered with the strait, and it was open before. It was always under the threat of Iranian interference with the Strait of Hormuz. That's nothing new. They are, interjecting themselves more aggressively into blocking the transit of oil, and that is something new. But they've always had that threat, and for 47 years they've bullied not only Israel, not only the U.S., not only the Strait, but their neighbors. And then when we saw them physically attacking with missiles, the airport in Dubai, the airports in Kuwait, clearly civilian targets. That's what they've been able and willing to do and will continue to do if they are not degraded economically and militarily even more. And I hate to be such a naysayer and a doomsday guy, but again, look at the track record. Look at what they do, not what they say. Look at how they act, not what they sign. And unfortunately, we're learning this. And I think President Trump is hopeful. He's wanting to reduce the bloodshed, and that's a good thing. He's wanting to end this conflict because it is having an impact on the global economy. But at the same time, as we've talked before, a dirty nuke in Piccadilly Circus, a dirty nuke in Times Square would have more global impact than a couple of months of lower or higher gas prices.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, look, I'm not normally black and white in politics. I like nuance. But in this situation, Iran are evil and America is trying to deal with that. And I fully support whatever move Trump makes next. Now, we do know that the imminent next move is Steve Witkoff is on his way to join Jared Kushner over in Geneva. Because there's going to be a signing ceremony with the US and Iranian delegations. Well, that then fell apart. What is happening in Geneva? What do they hope to achieve from this? Or is this, again, sort of performative for oil prices, knowing full well that you can't negotiate with a terrorist state?
I think, again, when you have face-to-face meetings, that does improve the possibility that you advance a deal or get closer. That interaction is important. But it is significant that J.D. Vance canceled his plans to fly there to participate in this. I don't think it's because he lacks frequent flyer miles. I mean, I think the money was there to get there. The bottom line is they knew a deal is not really moving forward. And I think they're at least acknowledging with his lack of presence, the lack of confidence that the Iranians are going to continue to do what they're saying they're going to do. And again, you still have the IRGC fighting amongst themselves, reportedly, demanding that nothing be done. And yet you've got, the political, the business leadership in Iran saying, look, we've got to end this. Our economy is draining $500 million a day. The recovery ability is going to be very difficult. But whether it's the Gulf states that are providing reconstruction money to Iran, whether it's releasing their own money, and there is an argument in favor of, look, it's their money. At some point, we have to release their money. Interestingly, they aren't making that same argument in the administration with respect to the frozen assets of Russia and Russian business people. But at some point, it's their money. You got to let them have their money. But when you start giving them $25, $30 billion of their money, or the Gulf states start putting reconstruction funds together, there is no guarantee, and I don't care how much we watch closely with satellites, where that money goes, and if it flows right back into the hands and pockets of Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis, they are going to kill more people using this money. They are not going to stop their way. And if you don't have that ability to track every dollar, which I don't have confidence in, they're going to put it right in the hands of the same.
We've seen this with the UN and sending money to Gaza, how much it went to sort of schools and citizens and how much built tunnels and bought weaponry. This is always the same way with the Islamists. Let's talk finally. Oh, no, before I talk about this other story, how are things going with Netanyahu? Because there's this sort of suggestion on the mainstream, the legacy media, that there have been, strikes from Israel onto southern Lebanon, which is the reason the Iranians are saying we won't come back round the table. It's just been reported that, 16 have been killed in Israeli strikes, despite apparently a ceasefire. People are trying to, it seems, when it comes to the legacy media, drive a wedge between Netanyahu and Trump to make out that, it's all fallen apart and Bibi is being defiant and Trump has lost patience with him. But then he turned around yesterday at Trump and said about Netanyahu, the man is a warrior.
The only thing more dangerous than a war sometimes appears to be a ceasefire. I mean, that's the really danger point. But at the same time, when you have Hezbollah, firing rockets into Israel, into civilian areas, Israel has to respond. And I think that nobody, who's being reasonable would disagree with that. And it's always interesting that the death toll that gets reported, whether it's in Gaza, whether it's in southern Lebanon by Hezbollah, is, 16 killed. How many of those are these ununiformed terrorists that are being hit in strikes? I mean, again, they're hiding their facilities under schools, under hospitals, in schools and hospitals, and the ones that are being killed tend to be the ones that are the terrorists, and nobody should be mourning that And again, when you're fighting in these closed territories, in these urban centers, there will be collateral damage. It can't be escaped. But the blame belongs on the Hezbollah and the Hamas and the Houthi terrorists who use their population as civilian shields, as human shields. They're willing to sacrifice children for their own cause. So,
and it's the Iranian game, isn't it? You know, pretend we're going to have some sort of negotiation, pick up the phone to Hezbollah, tell them to poke Israel, make Israel respond, and then go, well, look, we can't have a negotiation because Israel's done that.
Well, and they've claimed, how often, Alex, have they claimed, oh, we have nothing to do with Hezbollah. Well, then why have you made it such an important, significant part of this deal? Clearly, they are your proxies. You are funding them. You're encouraging them. You're arming them. Now, I will say that the degrading of their economy and their military in Iran makes it more difficult for them to fund and support and arm these terrorist groups. But then you give them money, and as you pointed out, they're not going to go out and build roads and power stations and schools and hospitals and improve the economic capability of Iran. They're going to do what the Hamas terrorists in Gaza did. They're going to build tunnels and missiles and move forward with their military operations. And perhaps the people in Iran at some point we'll get sick enough of it to do something, but protests don't work against the folks that have guns. And the IRGC, the besieged, they have the guns, and the people in Iran have protest signs and voices.
And finally, I started off the interview sort of saying, Trump actually tends to delight me of some of the mad things he says. I don't know why. I should know better, but it is entertaining. And when he does a takedown...
One thing on that I would point out, and I wish I had coined this phrase, you have to take Trump seriously, but not take everything he says as veracity. I mean, he says things that he's not serious about, but you have to give him credibility and know the distinction between when he's serious and when he's having fun.
And normally, because it's sort of left field and weird, I quite like it. But this one, if he wants to, have a go at David Lammy, Sadiq Khan, Keir Starmer, be my guest, I'm afraid Trump crossed the line with this one in Alex Land because he's messing with Georgia Maloney. And nobody messes with our Georgia. She's not our Georgia, she's Italy's Georgia, but I wish she was ours because we love her. She's the golden girl. But this is such a weird thing because apparently when asked by a journalist at the G7 meeting about an image of him and Georgia Maloney chatting on a couch, he replied, "She's probably happy I talked to her. I didn't have to talk to her. She begged me to take a picture with her. She wanted a picture of me so badly. I wouldn't have taken it, but I felt sorry for her." And Maloney's just said some things deserve an immediate response. The statements by Donald Trump are completely made up. I am frankly astonished. I don't know why the President of the United States behaves like this with his allies. It's not the first time it happens. I can only say I'm sorry he does not have the same approach with the enemies of the West, with the enemies of the United States, whose leaders he instead treats with far greater indulgence. We all want Trump and Maloney to be bezzers. Why did you have to do that, Donald? Why?
The body language at the G7 was amazing because, first of all, Trump flew after that UFC fight, at like 3 a.m., got there, immediately went into meetings. So there was a fatigue factor, and I'm sure he was a little bit on the edge of oh, yeah, I remember, I don't like him. Oh, I definitely don't like her. Oh, I don't like him. But at the same time, some of these people he may not have recognized when he was kind of giving them the cold shoulder. Some he clearly recognized and was intentionally kind of just turning his back and not paying attention to. But Trump recognizes good-looking blonde women.
He
knew
knows
exactly who she was.
He knows who Maloney is. Just, Donald, come on, don't let the side down. Oh, Steve, it's always great catching up with you. Thank you, as ever, for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
Incredible, Bye. Steve Gill, former White House official.
Yes, yeah.
Don't mess with Georgia.
Oh, yeah. I told you, me and my partner, we call her Mama Maloney.
I love her.
Yeah.
I feel one thing that disappoints me is Georgia Maloney would be doing so much more if that country wasn't in the EU. She can't. When she turned around was going to send the Italian Navy into the Mediterranean to turn the boats around. Von der Leyen flew down. They had a meeting in Lampedusa, their next minute joint press conference, and they're not doing it anymore. Why? I'd imagine, I don't know, but I'd imagine that conversation went along the lines of, remember when we bailed out Italy after the Eurozone crisis and how much Italian debt we hold? Do as I say.
Yes, exactly.
I would imagine. Doesn't take much imagination to come up with that. Anyway, sticking on the subject of the EU, we are going to be your guest. We got him.
Oh, yes.
Ralph.
Yay.
We got our... He's back. We gave him a quick call, and he's joining us after the break, so we can talk about that and talk about the EU Parliament approving the strictest ever migration law. Doesn't mean anything. Most things that come out of Parliament don't, but it is an interesting change of direction of travel. Anyway, before we do that, Steve Witkoff was flying to Geneva, we learn. Apparently now you can fly to Geneva via EasyJet from a teeny tiny little UK airport which has just launched international flights.
Oh.
Where? Which airport in the UK now has EasyJet international flights? Tiny little airport, which seems to go to just Geneva. Don't know what the connection is, but there you go. Anyway, we're going to let you know after the break when we're also catching up with the wonderful Professor Ralph Schulhammer. Don't go anywhere.
Current affairs, international news, letting criminals off while sending... Oi! Oi! You shut up! I'm trying to record something.
Stand by for 3 powerhouse hours of breaking news, challenging views. I don't give a flying damn about international law. I think people will viscerally reject this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Peter and Alex on a Saturday on Talk.
I love that. I love that so much.
I adore that. That just makes my weekend every time I hear it. OK, now EasyJet are launching international flights from which tiny UK airport?
It's Newquay.
Yeah, did you look that up or did you?
No, I didn't. I actually knew that. Only because a friend of mine is a banker and he travels quite a lot. And it was
so why are they? Why is it to Geneva?
Nobody seems to know.
I mean, there's sort of all these people who work for the WHO who secretly surface in Cornwall.
But all I can think of is it's a hub that means you don't have to go through Heathrow.
I mean, the thing is, people
underestimate
underestimate how long it takes getting down there.
Yeah.
You know, even I'm from Gloucestershire, and I'm like, would I go to Cornwall for a weekend? No, it's miles away.
Yeah.
It's so far.
Oh, I remember. Yes, because I remember a friend of mine lives in Truro, and I was like, he said, come and visit. I looked, it can't be that far. I felt like I live on the train now.
I know.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Because, you know, technically, if you're doing it as the crow flies,
yeah.
you know, Bristol Airport or, you know, Cardiff Airport or something. But no, because you've got all the... I mean, it's... Yeah, they do need an airport.
Yeah.
Anyway, right, got to get on getting on.
Yeah.
Why Geneva?
I don't know.
I want to find out. OK, now we were talking earlier that we were going to try and summon Ralph Schulhammer, political theorist, out from his Austrian lair. And we've managed to do it. Hello, Ralph. It's been a while.
Hi, Alex. Great to see you. Love your dress. How wonderful.
Thank you. We normally colour coordinate.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't get the memo that you have to look like Mickey Mouse because I look like Minnie. I wanted the big black ears. It would have looked very cute. Right, now talking about very cute, how cute is this? The European Parliament has given the final green light to a new EU law allowing controversial return hubs outside the bloc and home searches. Conservatives voted with far-right groups, of course, it's Euronews, so of course they're voting with the neo-Nazis, to pass the legislation. What is so astonishing about this is, you know, the Conservative Party tried and failed to put in place the Rwanda plan, and the EU apparently seems to have just gone and done it. Tell me more.
Well, let's say they say that they want to do it. So far, they haven't really done it. And the big problem has always been that there was not a lack of laws and ideas. There was always the problem with executing those laws and ideas. And to give a concrete example, there are about 1.2 million Syrians in Germany who fled from the Assad regime. Since Assad is gone, right, their reason for refuge has expired. So all of them, purely from a legal point of view, could be made to go home, but it's not happening. Now, we can go into the details why this is the case, but there was never any kind of legal restriction of sending them home. It was also a political restriction. And I think the same is now the case, potentially, with what the EU Parliament and the European Commission have decided. It looks fantastic on paper, but we have lots of ideas and, you know, the Dublin rules and all these kind of things that you cannot come from a safe third state. So, you know, that you shouldn't emigrate into the welfare state. Yet it is happening time and time again. So great new laws, great new ideas. Once they get actually executed, once I see the first picture of these asylum processing centers outside of the European Union, I'll be the first one to admit this is a step in the right direction. As long as they only exist in theory, it's like those fusion reactors, right? When we're just 6 months from the first fusion reactor, and we have been 6 months from the first fusion reactor for 20 years. And I think those asylum centers will be the same thing.
No, I think you're probably right. What is the main barrier, do you think? Is this basically, if we got rid of the ECHR, then Europe would just be able to be more streamlined? It's probably a combination with that and the lack of political will.
Well, I think that's one aspect, and you mentioned the most important one. I can guarantee you, I think there's a 99% chance that there will be numerous courts within the European Union, on the European Union level, on the national level, that will say you cannot do this. I mean, you talked about Giorgia Meloni before. I mean, she experienced this herself. They wanted to have these asylum processing centers in Albania, so not the worst place in the world. And the Italian court said, no, you cannot do this. So I'm very curious to see whether you can have asylum processing centers in Syria or Morocco or Libya, and that there will be no court in Europe that say, oh, you cannot do this, conditions there are too bad, the countries are not safe. So I think this is all very hopeful. It all sounds very good. If it happens, again, I'll come on your show and I admit that I was wrong, but for now, I hear the message, I just lack the belief.
What's interesting, though, is that what's very clear is the composition of the European Parliament has changed radically since I was an MEP. This would never have passed in my time. I mean, one thing I did learn as an MEP anyway, it doesn't matter what goes on in the European Parliament because it's fake news. It's not really a parliament. It's smoke and mirrors. It doesn't really do anything. But it does indicate, doesn't it, that, you know, there's an increasing bloc in the European Union, in Brussels, who, frankly, are pulling in the opposite direction.
Well, I would say there's a number of members in the European Parliament, not all of them whose IQ is below average, but most of them can read a poll. And they see where the direction is going in the UK, they see where it's going in Germany, where the AfD is polling #1, they see where it's going in Austria, where it's going in France. So everybody who wants to survive politically at some point has to get with the new program. It really is a little bit, at least in its essence, what Margaret Thatcher once said, that you don't wait for the right people to do the right thing. You create the conditions where even the wrong people have to do the right thing. And this is a little bit what we see at the moment. But as you can tell from your own experience, right, I mean, this process is quite difficult. Look at the Reform Restore split in the UK, where you basically have two movements who, as an outsider, I would say kind of want the same thing, yet apparently it's almost impossible for them to do it together. They rather tear each other apart. And, you know, whatever side you're on, I know it's a very contentious debate in the UK, but I think there are still some weaknesses, which is why I'm afraid that the empire indeed will strike back, and that, as so often, these very hopeful signs ultimately will amount to nothing for now, right? I think we should not belittle the fact that change is happening. I tend to be more pessimistic, but I agree with you. These are things that would not have been possible even 10 years ago. So that is a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk, before I let you go, about the changing landscape across Europe, because, you know, we've seen populist movements come and go. In the Netherlands, Geert Wilders essentially won, was the biggest party in their elections, and then, you know, tried to form a coalition government and wasn't allowed to do anything he wanted. So in the end, just, you know, threw down his tools, put his hand up and say, forget it. And then the next elections went back to the left. You've had Giorgia Meloni, who talked a really good game, but my argument is she's very much shackled by Italian debt to things like the ECB, and of course Italy still being a member of the EU. We now have presidential elections in France next year, where I think we can hope that Jordan Bardella will sweep to victory. Certainly from the polling I've seen in all the sort of various iterations of runoffs for president, he comes out on top. And we could have a general election here, which, let's say that did somehow return a Reform UK government or some iteration of that, might actually a significant relationship be actually having two right-wing populist leaders in England and France? Because all of a sudden then you've got two big G7 nations, two big European nations, one, of course, in the EU, one not. But very symbolic that, you know, the migratory flows across the Channel, if they can sort that problem out, does that then put in motion potentially sweeping changes across Europe?
Well, I think populism is one thing and policy another. They're not mutually exclusive, but they're not the same thing. And what I mean by this is, if you look at Meloni in Italy, I always tend to defend her because I think she's in it for the long run. And if we look at current projections, she's going to win the next general election in Italy. So she's going to stick around. So she's not going to be a one-hit wonder. And I think that is part, at least I want to see it this way, I can be wrong, that is part of her strategy. The problem with many of the right-wing populists, and I think Geert Wilders was a prime example of this, is they see themselves like the star of the football team, when in fact they should be the star manager. So they should not be whoever is currently a great football player, you pick your favorite, but they should not be like, Cristiano Ronaldo. They should be like Sir Alex Ferguson. So they must be the individuals who actually manage a star ensemble of great politicians / of great policymakers. Because ultimately, you cannot micromanage as a single person. And that was the problem with Geert Wilders. He never really allowed competent people to rise up next to him. So it was always a one-man show. And I think this really handicapped his political project. And this is going to be interesting in Germany. It's going to be interesting with Bardella in France. It's going to be interesting with Nigel Farage in the UK, right? Will he then be, if he should happen to become prime minister, will he be able to, again, not try to be the star player, but to be the star manager? And I think this transition is very difficult for many politicians. Completely understandable, right? If you're the populist, you're used to take your bath in the masses and to hold this, that's much more entertaining. You're the guy people want the autograph cards from. It's to really pull the strings in the background is maybe emotionally not so rewarding, but this is ultimately what you need. Even populism at some point needs a technocratic competence, because people expect changes in policy. So they will cheer you on when you come in power. But if you don't change anything significantly very quickly, they will lose interest just as fast. They are not voting for Bardella, for Alice Weidel, for Meloni, for Farage because they like them. They might like them. Again, this is not mutually exclusive. But ultimately, it's like, you look for the best doctor to cure your illness. If you also like the doctor, awesome. But if he's the nicest guy in the world, but he's completely incompetent when he tries to treat you, at some point you're going to start looking for a new doctor.
Couldn't agree more. I think it's about time Ralph Schulhammer moved to the United Kingdom and started giving UK politics a kick up the backside. Give it some Austrian tough love. Ralph, it's so good catching up with you. It's been a while, and I hope you do come over the channel and come and hang out with us.
Anytime, let's do it.
Yes, we love Ralph. Look at that. I love the fact we just managed to call him up. There he is.
I know, yeah.
He's great. Right, we've got some breaking news, by the way. It's going back to the train crash yesterday in Bedfordshire. British Transport Police are giving an update on that. The Chief Constable, Lucy Dorsey, says that 28 people remain in hospital. 9 of them are in a critical condition. Their thoughts go, indeed, to those families. You know, 1 minute you're on a train, next minute you're in a hospital. Really horrific scenes there. We will keep you updated, and hope and prayers for the 9 in a critical condition that they pull through with healable injuries. All right, well, let's take a break, I think, on that note, but not before we do our quiz question.
Yep. Tension bed.
Tension bed. On this day in 1975, the film Jaws was released. What I want to know is, what nickname, Faith wrote this question.
Oh, right, OK.
Yeah. What nickname did the film crew give to the mechanical shark? What was he called, that shark? Old Robo Shark?
Robo Shark.
What's his name? That's what I want to know. All right, so we'll give you the answer just after this, when we're also joined by the brilliant Philip Kissley, Senior Fellow at the New Culture Forum. So don't go anywhere. Let's wrap the show up in style. Back in a moment.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Barnes and Phillips. They're not a law firm. They're not an accountancy firm. They trade in the truth on Talk.
First bit that there was a sort of long delay and it just said Barnes.
Yeah.
And I thought it was going to stop there. I thought that'd be sort of like, you know,
I was just
beautiful.
happy I came
and
first.
It's simplicity, just Barnes.
Yeah.
But then I got that we trade in the truth.
Yeah, but not
what's
a
the
law
other bit?
firm, not an accountancy firm. They trade in the truth.
How come you could pick that up and I couldn't understand that?
I don't know.
I think sometimes I'm going a bit deaf.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I tell you now, I've been sitting here and doing this, like, I will struggle to hear for the rest of the day.
It makes you go funny, doesn't it?
It really does.
Although when I was a kid, my mum took me to the hospital to have hearing checks because she thought I was deaf.
Yeah.
And I had to sit there, these headphones on, all these noises, pressing buttons. Do you know, weirdly, I remember the day like it was yesterday, and I was also wearing a red spotty dress on that day. I don't know why I remember that, but I do. I could have only been about 6 or 7
One of the
years
favourite
old.
moments with my father was I was getting my eyes tested, and it was also like an audiology place as well. And this little old lady came in, and she shouted so loud, "The doctors told me I've got to get my hearing checked." I think they heard her 3 streets away. It was so
I just remember,
funny.
I don't know if my mum will remember this, but the immortal line, I've never forgotten it.
Yeah.
Where we walked out of the hospital, and it was like, your hearing's perfectly fine. And she said to me, "You're not deaf, you're defiant."
Defiant. Yeah. That's funny.
I just love that.
Yeah.
Not deaf, defiant. Right, on this day in 1975, Jaws was released. The film, that is. What nickname did the film crew give to the mechanical shark?
I went for Bruce.
Oh, you happened to just go for Bruce, did you?
I did, because it's
I
the
thought-
name... No, it's the name of the shark in Finding Nemo.
Oh.
And I presume that was the connection.
It's true.
Yeah.
Actually,
Was that correct?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Well reasoned.
Yeah, that's literally why I went for it, because it's the name of the shark in Finding Nemo. Who goes, fish are friends, not food.
I've not seen Jaws, can you believe it? Where's it set?
I presume it's in America.
Is it America?
Yeah.
Because with a shark called Bruce, you'd think that'd be Australia. Because, you know, got sharks munching people up in Australia, got them munching people up in America.
It's been years since I've seen it. Years.
Yeah. Where are the most shark attacks in the world?
There's a question.
Right, we got
Well, ask
Tech Up's going to find that out. Actually, Philip Kisley's banned, you know, isn't he? So let's ask him. Philip Kisley, senior fellow at the New Culture Forum, joins us now. Where are the most shark attacks in the world, Philip?
I would have thought they're somewhere around Australia, are they?
Yeah, I don't know. South Africa. They've got hungry creatures in the seas. I don't know.
Sometimes around here,
Well,
don't we?
what I can say about Jaws is that you should see it, Alex, because it's a great film, but you should also see the film before it, which was his first film, Spielberg's first film.
Duel.
Which was Duel.
I love Duel. I've seen Duel.
Jaws is a similar thing, you know. It's this monster, the relentless monster coming for people, and it's wonderful. It's superbly done. Changed cinema, actually. You know, it paved the way for Star Wars. So
yeah, Duel was amazing. I love Duel because again, in its simplicity, the sort of weird tension. I don't know why we're talking about this. Just something like a film show, and I don't really watch films. I did go and see Disclosure Day, Spielberg's latest, which I was very excited about, and I thought it was rubbish. Yeah. I was entertaining enough. It was a good old, you know, narrative. It's a bit stupid, really. It's a bit like, yeah, we've moved on from this sort of nonsense now. Anyway. Apparently, United States and Australia lead the world in the highest number of unprovoked shark attacks.
Unprovoked?
I know, I like this idea, though. Now I want to know which country leads the unprovoked shark attacks. Who's going to go, hey, let's rile them up?
Yeah. How do you provoke a shark attack? Yeah, it's a good question, isn't it? You know, put your legs in Burnham.
It's the way that all three of our minds went to the same question.
Right. We've got so many things to talk about. Where do we begin? Well, we may as well begin by talking about Makerfield, because it is the big news story of the weekend. Do you know what? Rather than me ask you a question, do you know what would be more fun? What is the thing that you want to talk about from that? Is it Burnham? Is it Restore? Is it the way people voted? What, for you, was your sort of moment of political realisation in what happened in Makerfield?
Well, I suppose, first of all, it was depressing, waking up in the morning and seeing that Labour again had got in with this cardboard cutout person who's just trotting out all of this nonsense about a new politics of hope and kindness and all the rest of it. And you know it's going to be the absolute opposite. And I thought, first of all, I thought people had voted for all the wrong reasons. They voted short term. They voted to get rid of Starmer. And to get rid of Starmer, you put Burnham in, but it's exactly the same thing. It's just it's ghastly socialism. It's post-war socialism. It's paternalistic. It's all of those things which just won't work for this. So it didn't work in 1945. It's not going to work now. So that was one thing. The other thing I thought was that the Restore threat simply didn't happen, and I don't think that people will vote for a party that is, let's be honest, riven with absolute racists, neo-Nazis, and all the rest of it. I think that.
Do you think they made a mistake here? Because I actually said this. I said this before they stood. I said, I don't know why they're doing this. It's lose-lose. Other than to sort of build a bigger brand and, get a bigger name and be more known. What they benefited from was just being a social media phenomenon without having to have any accountability. And I said they'll either upset people because they split the vote or fail to do anything significant. They do better than they did, and then they're accused of messing up that election. And, they did, like you said, did very little in the end. But also, I think what happened as a result is they kept moaning, well, we're not on question time, why are you not doing this? They didn't want that candidate to be interviewed, did they? And you can see the way Alistair Harrison leads around Rupert Lowe. He doesn't want Rupert Lowe to open his mouth too often either. But what was interesting is they moaned about why was no one interviewing us? Why aren't you talking about Restore Britain? And then the media sort of go, OK, so what is that all about? Whoa!
Yeah, I think people don't learn lessons, do they? Social media is a very different place to real life, and if it does hold up a media, then it's a mirror. Then it's a very, very distorted mirror, and in lots of ways a grotesque reflection of what goes on in real life. These are very angry young men, but also men who are just reveling in being abusive, and that ultimately, at the end of the day, is not what the British public want. And there are no solutions in that. We are in a terrible, terrible mess. If Burnham becomes Prime Minister, which he will do, we are looking at economic obliteration. I said on a show yesterday that 2008 will look like a stroll in the park in terms of the recession. We are looking at serious stuff. And once that happens, it really is going to spill out onto the streets. So I think that split on the right was something, and it ultimately turned into pretty much nothing. I really focused actually on reform because I want them to do well, and what they need to do is get better candidates. Now, it's all well and good having ordinary people talking in ordinary ways, but the three of us know that Westminster is a complex and difficult place, and you need to be extraordinary to get anything
I agree.
done.
I think you're shackling yourself. You're becoming a hostage to fortune if you turn around and go, we're always going to have a candidate born and raised in the local area, because you might then struggle to find somebody with political knowledge, with the life experience to be able to suddenly handle national media and political debate in the cutthroat world of politics, to have the sort of requisite skills and experience, which I'm not saying can't be learned. It shouldn't be a class divide, but they need to be there before you're thrown in at the deep end, one thinks. And I just think that it's very romantic and very nice saying, well, all of our candidates are born and bred in the constituency, but no other political party really does that. And they don't do it for a reason. And they don't do it for partially for the reasons that we're talking about. But also, in many respects, parties have used as a sort of device to garner loyalty. This idea that, right, you go through various processes, you get approved as a candidate, you have basic candidate training, you stand in a seat that you can't win, so you've gone through the process, you know what it's like, you've done the hard yards, you've got some air miles. Then you might be allowed to stand in a potentially marginal seat. And then when you're suddenly, you know, cleaned, ready for the job, fully loyal because you've tugged your forelock in order to get those opportunities, and potentially when the whips have got enough dirt on you, depending which political party we're talking about, you then get to advance to a safe seat where you are fully ready, you're, you know, part of the inner circle, and you're good to go, essentially. And that is that's the system parties have operated for a reason.
Yeah, it's a process, and you have to go through the process. It's a kind of training, and that experience is extremely important. The experience of doing the job, being in the sector. In any other sector, we would value that highly. You don't go and stand in front of a classroom without any experience and no qualifications, but you're from the same place. It doesn't work, does it? And politicians are exactly the same thing. It's a very difficult thing to be an effective politician. So this idea of authenticity that is being bandied about all over the place is being used in a very inauthentic kind of way. It's being used as a kind of gimmick. So I think it's forgivable that they're doing that because this is new stuff and they are breaking new territory here. Let's not forget that we're breaking the two-party system here, and Reform are trying to do something different. They are trying to change things on fundamental levels. Now, I was really heartened, Alex, actually, by what Nigel said, his response to all of it, which I thought was really honest, really sensible, self-reflective, but also looking forward. It did all of the things that I wanted him to do. It wasn't about bluster and bombast and denial. It was about, okay, this is going to be a difficult job. We got it wrong this time, but we are going to move forward. And I'm saying these things. I don't want to overly kind of criticize the candidate who did all right. It's the process, it's the system that needs looking at.
I think he was very brave, really. My understanding is that he really had to have a lot of arm twisting to agree to do it. He was sort of like, what, why me? Why does it have to be me? Because it's a daunting task, and I think it's been very bruising for him. You know, when you stand for election and the eyes of the national media on you, like a by-election, when it's a general election and there's, you know, 700 odd candidates, it's slightly different. But when it's something like Makerfield, where everybody, even internationally, journalists had come to watch, and they're suddenly going, right, you wrote this on Facebook 6 years ago. I mean, not many people have the spine to go through that process. It is horrible.
Well, it is horrible, and those of us who have public profiles, and you know, we do this stuff every now and again. I mean, you're on the receiving end of this all the time. I'm on the receiving end of it every now and again. Peter is. We know what it's like. You just grit your teeth, you get through the day, and it kind of subsides. What Rob had to go through was more than that in lots of ways. But what you do is you look at the nature of the response from the opponents, and the opponents actually, the vitriolic hatred actually came from the right. It didn't really come from the left. They didn't really bother, and that's what's happening. So you have to look at what people are saying, and you have to look at the nature of their criticism to look at who you are dealing with. And those people on the right, the absolute far right, they don't represent any kind of country that I would want to live in.
If I were to read out to you, I mean, like, I'm not saying it's especially bad because I'm a woman, but actually I am saying that because it doesn't faze me, because I realise these are just angry men who, without turning it into a sex thing, because I'm not a Me Too movement person, I don't give a damn. You know, I'm Alex, I do my job and I do it well, and I worked hard to get here, thank you very much, and I've got a thick skin. But there is something particular and unique about the way that the people from that party, or the trolls purporting to be in support of that party, are speaking about women. I think out of all of them, I probably get it in the neck the most because I've been the most vocal. But it comes down to things that, you know, I have to remind myself and I have to pinch myself and go, actually, it's not true. Don't let it affect you. When people are saying I'm an alcoholic, when people are saying I'm a drug taker, when people say I'm having an affair, when people are saying I'm barren and can't have children, that's why I'm bitter. I mean, who the hell says stuff like that? And that is what's being put out there all the time. People don't know about my love life. They don't know my personal circumstances, or if I've got a medical condition or something. They don't need to know. It's not their bloody business. But how dare those people turn around and say, we're here to protect women and girls, and go on personal attacks like that, questioning a woman, labelling her as some sort of slatternly, horrible, low-moraled, histrionic, mentally ill, drug-addicted, you know, a boozing person who's unable to have children. That is sick and vile. You do not. How dare you pretend that you support women and girls? How dare you use those little girls who have been violently, viciously, evilly, disgracefully, disgustingly abused as some sort of moral shield and then pop out and say stuff like that? And that anger and that criticism isn't just some of the nasty people, the trolls who live online. That goes all the way to blimmin' Rupert Lowe, who has sat there with a smug, stupid look on his face, knowing this is being said, and even repeated some of it. So, Rupert, as far as I'm concerned, jog on, son. I see through you. Pro-women and girls, my backside. You just let rampant sexism run rife, and I don't care about sexism in the normal sense, but I do care when people use such disgusting, diabolical personal attacks. And do you know what? It ain't going to stop me. If you thought that was going to make me shut up, I've got even more fire in my belly now. So don't think that tactic's going to work. And you are losing friends left, right and centre among the media the more these attacks take place. Right, Philip, sorry about that. I had to get that off my chest.
No, I think there are a few things here which just made me think when you were saying that so incredibly eloquently. I think one of them is that this is a pack mentality. These are it's a pack of aggressive young men hunting women and Jews essentially online. Yeah. That's what it seems to be to me. But I think it comes from this phrase that has been bandied about, and it's this phrase, "I don't care."
Yeah, it's awful.
Now, I think that has opened the floodgates, and that has allowed all of the people who are just outside of decent discourse, they have flooded in and they have taken over. And now we are in a situation where as I say, it's the horseshoe of politics. This used to happen on the left all the time. Now it's identity. If you get identity politics on the left, you're going to get identity politics on the right. It's down to the last 30 years of mass immigration, asymmetric multiculturalism. This is what it's so. So what we have to do is stop and say, how do we put a stop to it? How do we make sense? How do we become decent again? Yeah. How do we reclaim our country in a way that is responsible and not stupid and not mired in identity politics?
We're in a grave time and politics is a serious business. Oh, Philip, thank you ever so much. We've got to say goodbye because it's time to go to our very last break and we're running out of time. So let's just get on to our final question. Yes. I wonder why she put this one in here. It's a faith question. Oh. J.D. Vance's second memoir was published this week. What is it called?
I didn't know he had the first one.
Well, there's I don't know, Hillbilly Elegy, that was it.
Is that him?
Yeah, yes. Oh. And then, so his second memoir comes out this week, but what is it called? Oh. There was a clue in who I said wrote the question, just saying. Okay. All right, we're taking a short break and we're just going to wrap up the show with, I don't know, chat, messages, stuff. Usually, So don't go anywhere, because there's not long left of today's offerings. Thank you for your company so far, and I'll see you just after this.
Current affairs, international news, letting criminals off while sending... Oi! You shut up! I'm trying to record something.
Stand by for 3 powerhouse hours of breaking news, challenging views. I don't give a flying damn about international law. I think people will viscerally reject this.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Talking live on a Saturday. Alex Phillips.
Is there more to come?
Yeah, I just love how that was all caught on camera.
I know. We almost hid under the desk.
I love how we tried to hide it. We were in a room with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 6 cameras in it.
Yeah, we were in a room with 6 cameras and just us.
And just
like,
us.
What are we hiding from?
I love how you still fall back into that childlike mentality of just hide it, it's fine.
Also, we've had these sort of impromptu jingles now for weeks, and we still find it's a surprise every time they happen.
Yeah.
We're still surprised. I don't get that.
It's funny.
Right,
Yes.
right, let's do the answer, then there's a competition read, then there's,
Yeah.
I don't know, us bantering about stuff. So, J.D. Vance's second memoir was published this week. What's it called?
You said something about faith, so I'm going to say a question of faith.
Almost. There you go, I like that.
Yeah.
It was Faith's question.
Yeah.
It was finding my way back to faith.
Back to
Is that right? What's been going on with you and Vance then, baby?
Yeah.
Yeah? Faith, you're telling us something, are you?
I don't think she was paying attention at that moment.
Did you say he loves me? Do you know Faith is all quiet and polite and butter wouldn't melt, then all of a sudden she just brings it home with some sort of wisecrack. Right. The competition time. Competition time. I feel like we should have music for competition time.
Like a jingle.
Some sort of... Yeah, and we've got to read it straight. 2026 World Cup has kicked off, and here at Talk we're celebrating in style. That's why we're giving you the chance to boost your bank balance with a massive £26,000 Rachel Reeves proof cash handout. That is no taxes on the 26k for a summer you won't forget. Here is how to enter.
For your chance to win, visit talk.tv/win or text TALK to 83338 by 6 p.m. on the 20th of July 2026. Texts cost £2.50 plus your standard network rate. Or send your name and number by post to Comp1 PO Box 3190, Colchester CO2 8GP. To arrive by midnight on the 23rd of July 2026. 18 plus, UK residents only. So for your chance to win, text TALK to 83338 now. This is a network promotion, full T's and C's at talk.tv/win.
There you go.
There you
Good
go.
luck.
Yeah.
Right, let's finish on some messages. The reform bubble has burst. People want hope, not hate. That is why people voted for Andy Burnham.
I said this positive campaigning.
Positive campaigning.
Positive campaigning.
There you are. Morning, Alex. Happy Saturday. Burnham might have won the battle, but he hasn't won the war. My money is still on John Healey joining the challenge and winning. He's Labour's John Smith of our times.
I actually think it's Shabana Mahmood you have to keep your eye on. She's backed by the Tony Blair Institute. They're on manoeuvres.
Oh, is that right?
Yes. Keep your eye on Lucy Powell.
Alex, what am I missing? Burnham has tried before to be leader and was rejected again and again, so why is he now the Messiah? Well, yeah, the powers that be determine these things.
Oh, yeah.
All of a sudden, it's like the legacy media were putting this king of the North, Andy Burnham.
Yeah.
They basically, the BBC and Sky have basically decided he should be the leader, run the campaign for him, celebrated now he's got it. It's like, oh, let's just let Beth Rigby decide at this point.
Beth Rigby.
Yeah.
No, the loudest of them. What was it? I remember when I was working with the Tories, it was always like Beth Rigby, 10 minutes behind. I like her though. She's very nice.
I think she's she's
very
one.
nice.
She's an important voice, I'd say. You know, she's a distinct voice. Good afternoon, Alex and Peter. Do the people of Makerfield not realise that their votes will be wasted if Andy Burnham's plan is successful and they lose him to London? They will then become just another forgotten town in the UK.
That is not true, actually. If you look at the last few prime ministers,